Chapter 1099. The Prison of Wood. Luli, who was cultivating, was alarmed. He had left a subsidiary body here. If there was anything urgent, she would alert Luli at once. Yen Zhen is here? Luli opened his eyes. His eyes were profound, like a black hole. People could not help but be immersed in the world in his eyes. He used subsidiary body danced around in the air, tracing all kinds of strange trajectories. Luli watched for a while. His frown disappeared. Yen Zhen was not here. But Emperor of Heaven Reverse's avatar had come and summoned Luli? Emperor of Heaven Reverse rarely sent his avatar here. The altar and statue had been built long ago. If Emperor of Heaven Reverse wanted to ask about the war, he would have sent his avatar here. Now that he had sent his avatar here, there must be something else. Luli checked his body and then the immortal's body. Making sure that everything was fine, he stood up and stretched his body. He had learned 11 diagrams of the map of fundamental principle. Only one was left. When the 12 diagrams were integrated, he would learn the origin fundamental principle and become an immortal. Let's go. Emperor of Heaven Reverse had summoned him. Luli could not afford to be careless. He teleported out from the wicked bead. Bai Qiuxue, Jiang Qiling, and Bai Xiaoshuang were all there. Luli waved his hand and said, "Let's go. Come with me to the demon-slaying city." Okay. None of them cultivated recently. After Jiang Qiling reached the semi-god realm, she found it difficult to cultivate. She decided to take a break. Bai Qiushue's progress was even slower. The 4th level of the enchantment was too abstruse for her. It was impossible to learn it in a short time. As for Bai Xiaoshuang, she was still at the peak of the noble lord realm, not even the human sovereign realm. They left the Valley of Cherry Blossoms. First, they teleported to the King Kong city and then to the demon-slaying city. Everywhere they went, they would be the center of attention. Warriors would drop to their knees. Luli was an immortal of the Heaven Reverse universe and Jiang Qiling and the twins were the empresses. What a perfect couple! Many looked at Luli, Jiang Qiling and the others with envy and admiration. They felt it was worthwhile to die for Luli to be able to do what he did. What they did not know was how much suffering Luli had gone through to reach this day. There were teleportation formations along the way. Luli and the others arrived at the demon-slaying city in an hour. The city had been repaired a long time ago. Warriors of the demon-slaying hall had been relocated here. The city was bustling again. In the plaza of the demon-slaying city, many people were on their knees. Patriarch of Law Enforcement and Jiang Tianshun were on their knees at the front, filled with excitement and respect. Luli came out of the teleportation formation and saw the huge shadow above the statue at once. Just like that day, Emperor of Heaven Reverse generated a shadow of 30 feet tall, holding a book in his hand. His eyes were filled with wisdom and kindness. Luli hurried over with the other 3. He dropped to one knee and said, "Greetings, Your Majesty." "Greetings, Emperor." Jiang Qiling and the other 2 knelt down as well. This was the ancestor of the human race. Without him, the human race in the Heaven Reverse universe would have been wiped out, not to mention the glory they had today. "Get up." Emperor of Heaven Reverse's hoarse voice came. After a pause, he said again, "Go away, apart from Luli." "Disperse!" Patriarch of Law Enforcement stood up and waved his hand. The tens of thousands of people on their knees on the plaza scattered to all sides. Patriarch of Law Enforcement, Bai Qiuxue, Bai Xiaoshuang, Jiang Tianshun and Patriarch Sun also went into the castle. Buzzing, the scripture in Emperor of Heaven Reverse's hand glowed. The scriptures flew out and surrounded Luli and the statue. Luli threw a look but did not mind. Emperor of Heaven Reverse had isolated the outside world so that their conversation could not be heard by others. "Luli, get up." Emperor of Heaven Reverse's voice turned kind. He looked at Luli with appreciation and satisfaction. You have done a good job in repelling the warriors of the 9 universes and protecting the Heaven Reverse Universe. I thank you on behalf of the people of the Heaven Reverse Universe and myself." Luli did not dare to claim credit. He bowed and said, "Your Majesty, please don't say that. I am a person of the Heaven Reverse Universe. Of course, I will protect the Heaven Reverse Universe. What is more, they are here for me. I will fight them to the end, even if I have to risk my life." Luli was well aware that Emperor of Heaven Reverse wanted to thank Luli. All the people of the Heaven Reverse Universe worshipped Emperor of Heaven Reverse. If the Heaven Reverse Universe was wiped out, he would lose the energy of faith of a universe. Okay. Emperor of Heaven Reverse nodded. The Shadow's eyes glowed. He looked at Luli and said, "You are cultivating fast. I think it won't be long before you become an immortal. You have Emperor Heng's map, right?" "Yes." Luli answered frankly. "I have obtained the wicked bead from the forbidden ground of Elder God, and I have learned a map. So far, I have learned 11 diagrams and only the last one is left." "Well, learning the 12 diagrams is just the first step." Emperor of Heaven Reverse did not mention the wicked bead. It seemed that he did not care about the wicked bead, or he did not want to take away the treasures of his descendants. He said to Luli, "The 12 diagrams are easy to learn, but you must integrate them to learn the origin fundamental principle and become an immortal. Integrating the fundamental principle is difficult. You must be prepared. Nobody can help you with this. You have to rely on yourself. I can only tell you one thing: origin fundamental principle. Everything has an origin, emptiness and illusion. The key lies in the origin and truth. When you can understand these 2 words, you will be enlightened." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Luli wrote down every word Emperor of Heaven Reverse said. This was guidance from a mighty warrior in the divinity. It could be of great help to Luli. Emperor of Heaven Reverse continued after a pause, "Don't think about taking down the divine imperial city of the Yen family. That is a powerful relic. When you become an immortal, you'd better talk to the Yen family. When you go to the divinity, the Yen family will not be able to get the wicked bead, and they will not come to the Heaven Reverse Universe to make trouble. The Yen family will not offend me too much. You don't have to worry about the safety of the Heaven Reverse Universe." Luli thought for a while and said, "If I cannot wipe out the Yen family, I will talk to them. If I can, I will not hold back." "If you can, then it doesn't matter." Emperor of Heaven Reverse did not try to dissuade Luli. If Luli could do that, Yen Tiangang could fly into a rage in the divinity, so what? It was not as if Luli could go back to the Heaven Reverse Universe from the divinity. "This time, I'm only here for one important matter." Emperor of Heaven Reverse explained, "I am at the Swords Mountain in the Southern Divinity. I am the chief of the Swords sect. When you ascend to the divinity, you will be at the Southern Divinity as well. But I cannot tell where exactly. Recently, I will be in closed-door cultivation. It may take years, decades, or even 100 years. So, I cannot look after you. Recently, our sect is facing a crisis. We are shrinking our defenses to protect ourselves. I cannot send someone to pick you up. If you ascend to the divinity soon, you can come to the Swords Mountain to find me. When you are here, I will accept you as my protégé and teach you everything that I have learned." Swords Mountain, Swords Sect. Luli committed it to memory. "Thank you, Your Majesty. When I ascend to the divinity, I will go to the Swords Mountain to find you. Work hard." Chapter 1100. Emperor of Heaven Reverse's shadow had disappeared, but Luli was still thinking about his words. Emperor of Heaven Reverse's last words stirred up a storm in his mind. He remembered the first time he came to the demon-slaying city. The statue of Emperor of Heaven Reverse glowed, wanting to grant Luli divine energy and legacy. However, the silver dragon mark resisted. In the end, Emperor of Heaven Reverse gave her the divine energy and the legacy. That being said, Emperor of Heaven Reverse had noticed the silver dragon mark at first glance and recognized it as a treasure. Emperor Z said the silver dragon mark was a 7th rank enchanted soul and a powerful piece of treasure. Lu Li was even more curious about the silver dragon mark. How powerful was Lu Ling's family? Otherwise, why would he give the newborn Lu Ling such a powerful treasure to protect her? It seemed like even the Purple Emperor had never seen a 7th-grade demon soul before. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so shocked back then. On second thought, Lu Li believed it was a good thing that Lu Ling's family was powerful. It would be easier for him to find her in the divinity. If he was sure that she had returned to the family and was living well, Lu Li would not have brought her back. He was going to the divinity to make sure that Lu Ling was doing well. After all, nobody knew if she had been taken back by her family. What if she had been kidnapped? Cultivate. Lu Li shook his head. He went to chat with Patriarch of Law Enforcement, Jiang Tianshun, and the others. As for the content of the conversation with Emperor of Heaven Reverse, he kept it a secret. Back to the prison of wood, Lu Li went back to cultivation. He only had one last map of fundamental principle left, and he could not wait to study it. In the transcendent state, Lu Li could study fast. It would only take him a couple of months to finish one big diagram. Lu Li planned to finish it in one spurt of energy during closed-door cultivation. With 11 diagrams, Lu Li learned 11 profound meanings, and all of them were wind-related profound meanings. According to the order, they were Feather Wind Castle, Feather Wind Weapon, Traceless Wind, Wind Wisp, Catkins in the Wind, Wind Shadow, Wind Blade, Wind Shield, Storm, and Tornado. Some of the profound meanings were of great use, but some were of little value. They couldn't enhance Lu Li's abilities by much. But Lu Li did not attach much importance to those profound meanings. No matter how strong the profound meanings were, could they be more powerful than the immortal's body? Lu Li wanted to integrate the 12 diagrams and eventually, he could learn the origin fundamental principle. This was a divine ability of a god. It was definitely ridiculously powerful. Lu Li was in closed-door cultivation. Peace returned to the Heaven Reverse universe. Though many disciples of the Lu family had moved to the city of mystic armor, nobody dared to act rashly. At most, they could take advantage of their identity as Lu Li's disciple to go around eating, drinking and having fun. Right now, the reputation of the Lu clan's descendants was very resounding. Be it the young masters of the direct lineage or the collateral lineage, they would receive a grand reception no matter which clan they went to. Last time when Feng Rui entered the Great Land, the Palace of Heaven's Roars, the Red Lunar and the Palace of Immortals' Inquiries all surrendered. Later on, the experts of these families were all killed by the law-enforcing elders. Many places in the divine Great Land became ownerless. According to Lu Xingyang's plan, the 4 families should divide the territories equally so that they could strengthen their forces. However, after a discussion, Patriarch of Law Enforcement and some other patriarchs decided that the Lu family would give up the territory of the Pavilion of Blossoms to the Palace of Heaven's Roars. In this way, the territories of the 3 forces in the center of the Great Land were all unoccupied. They were all connected together and became ownerless. On behalf of the Demon-Slaying Hall, Patriarch of Law Enforcement made an announcement. From now on, the Palace of Immortals' Inquiries, the Red Lunar, the Pavilion of Blossoms, and the other 3 territories would be ownerless. Any force could occupy the cities and fight for all the resources. Fighting was allowed, but there was one rule: civilians were not to be slaughtered. Patriarch of Law Enforcement and the others made the decision after a serious discussion. It was inevitable that the Lu family would be the dominant force. Even if Lu Li ascended to the divinity, the Lu family would still have the advantage for a long time. Jiang family, Yi family, and Kong family would become the second tier. The other families would not be able to make a name for themselves. The structure of the great land could not be changed. Many families would lose the drive to advance. No matter how hard they tried, they would always be inferior to the four families. Anyone who dared to stand out would violate the interests of the four families and would end up in a bloodbath. Now, there was an unoccupied piece of land in the center of the great land. The fact that the four families did not fight for it gave hope to many families. Humans were selfish. Because of selfishness, there would be competition. Only with competition could there be progress. With pressure, there would be motivation. Then, there would be more talents and powerful warriors. In addition, there would be frequent wars in the unoccupied land. Hatred would be born. Hatred could be a strong motivation, and it could produce many talented warriors. In addition, if a major family could be born in the unoccupied land, it would exert pressure on the Lu family, Yi family, Kong family, and Jiang family. This could serve as a warning to the four families at any time. Born in sorrow and hardship, died in peace and contentment. This old saying made sense. In addition, Patriarch of Law Enforcement and the other patriarchs discussed and decided to relocate some civilians and small families to the Feather Land of the West and the Ocean Land of the East. Then, the two pieces of land would be open to the other families to fight for. In this way, there would be more and more families. The emergence of new families would be a challenge to the Lu family, Yi family, Kong family, and Jiang family. Maybe in hundreds or thousands of years, the four families would be wiped out. That being said, this was good news for the Heaven Reverse Universe, especially when the Heaven Reverse Universe could go to the purgatory of primordial chaos to cultivate. The Heaven Reverse Universe could produce more powerful warriors. Lu family, Yi family, Jiang family, and Kong family would be challenged and pressured. In this way, the future generations of the four families would be forced to work hard or else they would be wiped out. If a super clan didn't have any pressure, the clan's disciples would slack off, become arrogant, and continue to decay. When most of the disciples of a super family were corrupted, the family would be like a mountain riddled with holes. Any external force could bring the family down. It was like an empire. If all the officials were corrupted and didn't care about the lives of the civilians, and the soldiers didn't want to fight but to amass money and have fun, an invasion by an army of such an empire could destroy the empire. By the same logic, if the disciples of the Lu family only knew to enjoy themselves, to be arrogant, domineering, and to make enemies everywhere for a short period of time, the Lu family might be able to suppress the enemies. But what about when those old guys died? The rest would be good-for-nothings. Even if the Lu family still had some powerful warriors, they would be wiped out by the other families. Luli would ascend to the immortal world soon. Patriarch of Law Enforcement was aware of this, which was why he felt threatened. Luli had made too many enemies on his way to rise. Even if Luli could wipe out all his enemies before he ascended to the immortal world, those families would rise again in dozens or hundreds of years. By then, what could the Lu family rely on? Chapter 1101. Profound Meaning of Wind, Done. For months later, Luli opened his eyes abruptly. He was overjoyed. After such a long time, he had learned all 12 diagrams. In total, he had been cultivating for 3 to 4 years. He had grown from a young man in his 20s to a middle-aged man in his 30s. Of course, that was in the perspective of the average people. Given Luli's age, he was almost a teenager or even a child. This was the longest time Luli had ever spent in closed-door cultivation. It was not easy. How many young people could be like Luli who could calm down and endure loneliness? For other young people, even if they were at a higher realm, they would be proud to be the most powerful young master in their families, let alone the leader of the Heaven Reverse Universe. Every day they would either attend such activities or hang around, flirt with girls, and enjoy the glory, wealth, and looks of admiration. Young and frivolous. When one was young, one would not be mature if one did not experience many things. What was more, young talents were often conceited and looked down on heroes in the world. As a result, they would lose the drive to strive and eventually become mediocre. Emperor of Heaven Reverse had so many people, so many families, so many talented people. But in the end, less than 1 in 10 could achieve great things. Many geniuses were held in high esteem, only to be snuffed out. I need some time to rest. Lu Li exhaled. He had been working so hard because, for one, the 9 universes were pressuring him. For another, he was eager to go to the divinity to find Lu Ling. The thought that he could ascend to the divinity soon after he integrated the 12 diagrams made him feel bad. He had spent too little time with his 3 wives. They had been married for so many years, but he spent more time with them than he did cultivating and going out. When he came out from cultivation, he put his mind off everything. He went on a tour with Jiang Qiling, Bai Qiuxue, and Bai Xiaoshuang. He planned to go to every scenic spot of the Great Land with them, the Ocean's Land of the East, the Feather Land of the West, and the Waters region. In any case, he didn't need to go into seclusion often anymore. He only needed to fuse the 12 diagrams together, and he could cultivate anywhere. Lu Li did not alert anyone. He left the prison of wood and inferno with his wives and entered the Great Land. The Great Land was a large place. Lu Li had never been to many places. Jiang Qiling, Bai Xiaoshuang, and Bai Qiuxue had never been. Bai Xiaoshuang was overjoyed to hear that Lu Li was going to tour the Great Land with them. Bai Qiuxue and Jiang Qiling looked at each other. Mixed feelings flashed through their eyes. Bai Xiaoshuang was simple-minded and would not overthink. Bai Qiuxue was meticulous and Jiang Qiling was smart. How could they not know what was on Lu Li's mind? It would not be long before Lu Li went to the divinity. Therefore, he wanted to spend some time with them. He was also trying his best to see if he could give the 3 of them a child or 2. Of course, Bai Qiuxue and Jiang Qiling wouldn't point it out. Both of them were smart. They knew that once Lu Li made up his mind, they could not change his mind. They were well aware of how important Lu Ling was to Lu Li. Even though they were a bit jealous, they could understand. What was more, Lu Li was about to become an immortal at such a young age. Emperor of Heaven Reverse was in the divinity. Lu Li might be able to make a name for himself in the divinity. By then, Lu Li would find a way to come back. Another thing was that Jiang Qiling had reached the semi-god realm, and Bai Qiuxue had learned the 5th level of the enchantment. It was possible that they could become immortals. By then, they could go and find Lu Li. Now that they had figured it out, they stopped thinking about it. They focused on traveling with Lu Li and trying to please him so that they could have a beautiful memory. They came out from somewhere near the city of Mystic Armor. Lu Li was not in the mood to go to the city of Mystic Armor to meet the young masters of the Lu family. He flew to the south with his 3 wives in the Wicked Bead. This time, he had no destination. He would go wherever he wanted. When he was tired, he would find a place to stay for a while and figure out a way to integrate the 12 diagrams. The 4 of them went on a sightseeing tour. Hiyu had left her subsidiary body in the Wicked Bead. She would contact Lu Li at once if anything happened. As they walked and stopped, Lu Li and the others even disguised themselves so that they wouldn't be recognized. After all, Lu Li's identity was extraordinary. Inevitably, people would come to greet him when he was recognized. Every time they arrived at a place, Lu Li would go to the chambers of commerce in the city to ask if there were any scenic spots or interesting places in the region. Lu Li left quietly when he had a clear understanding of the situation. He had learned a skill of disguise. At his current realm, he would not be seen through unless he ran into Earth Immortal Realm warriors. Basically, every region had beautiful sceneries. Because of the different customs, each region had its own unique style. The 4 of them were in a good mood. After 2 to 3 months of traveling, Lu Li found a remote lake with beautiful sceneries. He decided to settle here for half a month. He was going to integrate the diagrams. Luli built a cabin himself and the four of them settled down here. Every day, Bai Xiaoshuang would go hunting, Bai Qiushu would grill, Jiang Qiling would clean up, and Luli would eat. After dinner, he would chat with his 3 wives and then sit on a boulder by the lake to study. At night, Luli would stop cultivating. He would take a walk with his 3 wives, enjoying the night breeze and the moonlight. Late at night, the 4 of them would fall asleep in each other's arms. Every day was a happy and fulfilling life. Emperor of Heaven Reverse had warned Luli that it was easy to study the 12 diagrams and that integration was the problem. Still, after 7 to 8 days, Luli still felt troubled. He had been studying for a long time, and yet he had no idea how to integrate them. He felt he did not know where to start. He was like a headless fly with no way out. To integrate 2 profound meanings, he had to find the point of convergence and integrate them bit by bit. Now, he had to integrate 12 profound meanings. Even if he could find the point of convergence, he would not know how. It was like trying to turn 2 hemp ropes into one. It was easy. As long as the method was mastered, the 2 ropes could be twisted together. Now, Luli had 12 ropes of different lengths and sizes. It was a mess and he had no idea where to start. It was not hard to imagine how difficult it would be for Luli to integrate them into one. Origin fundamental principle. Everything has an origin, vacuum and illusion. The key is origin and truth. When you understand these 2 words, you will be enlightened. Luli remembered Emperor of Heaven Reverse's words. He felt it was like he was reading a book of Emperor of Heaven Reverse. He could not understand it at all. The words were abstruse. Luli felt it had nothing to do with integrating the diagrams. Whoosh, on the 11th day of Luli's stay by the lake, someone came and disrupted his peaceful life. It was a girl he had never seen before. She was only at the eternal realm. Lord! The girl flew to a place 2 miles away from Luli. She bowed and said with respect, "My master wants to invite you to the mountain of Chili for a chat." Luli knew about the mountain of Chili. It was 300 miles away and he had been there before. Chapter 1102. Jiang Qiling and the twins were alarmed by this person. They were curious as well. Luli waved his hand and said, "You can leave now." Luli did not say that he would go or not. After this person left, Luli said, "Qiling, do you want to stay here or go back to the Wicked Bead? I want to meet this person." Jiang Qiling and Bai Qiushu looked at each other and smiled. Jiang Qiling said, "Darling, go ahead. 300 miles is not far. Don't worry about our safety. After all, I am a semi-god realm warrior." Okay. Luli flew away. Bai Xiaoshuang tried to say something but was stopped by Bai Qiushu. After Luli left, Bai Qiushu pouted and said, "Sister, why are you stopping me? I want to go and have a look as well." Ha ha. Bai Qiushu smiled and said, "Darling must be going to see a woman. He did not say that we should go. Of course, we have to be sensible." A woman? Bai Qiushu was even more curious. She blinked and asked, "Darling doesn't take concubines, right? Is he secretly raising a vixen?" Ha ha. Jiang Qiling laughed out loud. Her breasts were bouncing up and down. She said nothing. She trusted Luli. If Luli had said yes, they would have more sisters. Nobody could stop Luli from taking concubines. Why would he go to see a lover in secret? Jiang Qiling and Bai Qiushu knew that it must be a woman, but they did not know who. If it were a man, Luli would not condescend to see him. Whoosh, Luli flew in the sky leisurely. He knew it was a woman but he was not sure. Since it was not far away, he might as well go. Soon, the mountain of coolness came into his sight. This mountain was strange. No matter how hot the sun was or how hot it was, the mountain would always be cool. Also, the mountain was lush with trees and purple flowers. It was a famous scenic spot. Usually, people would come here for sightseeing. But today it was quiet. Someone must have come to clear the area. Luli found some escorts nearby that surrounded the mountain of coolness. Luli ignored the escorts who clearly knew who he was. None of them dared to stop him. Luli flew to the peak of the mountain. There was an old temple on the peak, but it had been abandoned for a long time. A small family renovated it. Even though there were no monks, it still had the charm of a historical site. Luli landed on the peak and walked toward the old temple along a small path. He didn't use psychic power because he smelled a fragrance from the distance. He knew there was someone in the temple, and he had guessed who it was. Luli walked into the old temple and looked at the mottled temple walls and flagstones. He couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. He didn't even want to go in. After pausing for a moment, he still walked inside. There was a wooden door outside the temple. He gently pushed it open and saw a beautiful figure kneeling on a praying mat. A woman was kneeling and praying to Buddha. The Buddha statue was very old, and the paint was peeling off in many places. It was a statue of the great freedom Bodhisattva, and one could vaguely see the benevolence and dignity on the Bodhisattva's face. The woman was wearing a cyan frock. Her black hair fell to her back. Her waist was so slim that it could be held in one hand. Since she was kneeling on the ground, her well-rounded bottom was slightly raised, giving people endless fantasies. Luli could tell from her back that she was a stunning beauty. There was a sense of zen about her, which added a sense of transcendence to her. If a foppish young master were to see this, his mind would be stirred up. Luli was taken aback. He had thought it was Prajna or Yixiaosi. He didn't expect that it was a stranger. Even though the woman was wearing a white frock, she had black hair. Prajna had always been bald. Out of respect, Luli didn't use psychic power. He just stood there quietly, watching the woman praying to Buddha. After 9 times, the lady stood up slowly. She bowed to the Bodhisattva again before she slowly turned around and looked into Luli's eyes. Luli's eyes glowed at this moment. He was surprised as well. He saw a stunning young girl. She was in her prime, 17 or 18, the age of budding. She was full of youthfulness. Even though the young girl was wearing a white frock, it was well cut, which showed off her slim figure. Although she was only 17 or 18 years old, the young girl had already fully developed. She had protrusions in all the right places and depressions in all the right places. Her exquisite and beautiful face was especially dazzling, as if it was carved out of jade. The most important thing was her temperament. Maybe it was because she had been cultivating Zen for years, but there was not a trace of worldly aura about her. She was like a white lotus, pure and ethereal. The girl stared at Luli with her lacquered eyes. There seemed to be thousands of words in her eyes, and thousands of emotions in them. Many women's eyes could speak and seduce people. But this girl's eyes could make people lose themselves in them, unable to extricate themselves. The girl was someone he knew. Luli was right. It was Prajna. But in his mind, Prajna was a little nun, a little girl. Now, she had grown out her hair and had grown up. No wonder he couldn't recognize her from behind. He hadn't seen Prajna for years. She was almost 17 years old now. It was the period of time for a girl to develop at the fastest rate. It made sense that a girl would change at the age of 18. Looking into Prajna's eyes filled with feelings, Luli didn't know what to say for a moment. He just stood there, stunned. He remembered the first time he met Prajna. Back at the Buddha mountain, she was only a child of 7 or 8 years old. But she snuck into his private room and called him brother in a sweet voice. "Brother Lu." In the end, it was Prajna who spoke. There was no bitterness or hatred in her voice. Her voice was so soft and weak that people would feel pity for her. She paused for a moment, looked at Luli and asked, "Do you still recognize me as your sister?" "Yes." Luli's heart was touched. He said with determination, "Prajna will always be my sister. I will never deny you. Prajna smiled sweetly, but tears ran down her cheeks. Lu Li's heart skipped a beat again. He couldn't bear to see a girl crying. He forced himself to turn his head away, afraid that he would do something that would hurt Prajna. He had made up his mind that he could not be soft-hearted, or else he would harm Prajna for the rest of her life. Seeing Lu Li turning his head away, Prajna was sad. She wiped her tears with a handkerchief and forced a smile. Brother Lu, I didn't come here to bother you. I know you have important things to do, and I will not drag you down. I just want you to promise me one thing. Lu Li frowned. Without hesitation, he nodded and said, Say it. I will do what I can. Okay. Chapter 1103. Looking into Prajna's determined eyes, Lu Li's heart skipped a beat. Prajna wanted to follow him to the divinity and spend the rest of her life trying to become an immortal to find him. How deep was that? For a moment, Lu Li didn't know what to say. He was touched, but he still tried to persuade her. Prajna, listen to me. You are still young and you don't know what true love is. Maybe you are only close to me, maybe you worship me. But that is not love. There are so many good men in the world. You need to get to know them more. You will realize that the world is still a beautiful place even if there is one less person. I often say this to young masters who try to woo me. Brother Lu, if you don't like me, just say so. Prajna sneered and said, I know there are many good men in the world, but I am a Zen cultivator. I only believe in fate. From the first time I saw you, I knew we were destined to be together. Brother Lu, you are the trial of my life. If I can't get through it, I will never become a Buddha. If I cannot become a Buddha, then I will be possessed. I think I will be possessed by you in this life. Possessed by you? Possessed by me? Lu Li touched his nose in embarrassment, speechless. The girl was stubborn. More importantly, she was a Zen cultivator. Once she made up her mind, she would never be able to get over it. He looked at Prajna, her clear eyes. He thought of a way to compromise and said, Okay, Prajna, I promise you. If you can become an immortal, you can go and find me. But you must promise me one thing. If you cannot become an immortal in 30 years, then forget about me. Find a man at the great land, marry him, and live a peaceful life. Okay. Prajna agreed at once. She smiled in joy, like a child who finally got her favorite toy. She gazed at Lu Li with so much love that he almost melted. After a pause, she said in a weak voice, Brother Lu, can I hug you? Just a little. Lu Li burst into laughter. He reached out his hands and hugged Prajna. Prajna trembled and held on to Lu Li tightly. Originally, Lu Li was just hugging her gently. This time, their bodies were pressed together. Lu Li could clearly feel the softness of Prajna's chest and her fragrance. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Prajna parted reluctantly. She looked at Lu Li affectionately and said, Brother Lu, I will go back now. We have a deal. See you in the divinity. With that said, Prajna turned around and left. After she walked out of the temple, she kicked the ground with one leg and flew away like a feather. She looked back in midair and smiled sweetly, which dazzled Lu Li. Sigh, Prajna left, but Lu Li had a headache. Since ancient times, the word love could kill people the most. It was true. If it was any other woman, he wouldn't have come to see her. However, how could he bear to hurt such a cute little girl like Hanya? The problem wasn't the result of being heartless, but it could harm her for the rest of her life. If he went to the god realm and never came back, and if Hanya was unable to become a god, perhaps Hanya would be sad for the rest of her life, and in the end she would depart from this world. She was talented. Even though she was only 17 or 18 years old, she had reached the human sovereign realm. That being said, there was a world of difference between the human sovereign realm and becoming an immortal. Not even a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm could become an immortal, let alone the human sovereign realm or the earth immortal realm. Never mind. Never mind. Luli shook his head and put these headaches aside. Maybe this was fate. God had decreed it. He could not change Hanya's mind. He had to let nature take its course. Back by the lake, Luli said nothing. Bai Qiushue and Jiang Qiling didn't ask any questions. Even though Bai Xiaoshuang wanted to ask some questions, Bai Qiushue had told her not to. She had to pretend that nothing had happened. Luli and his 3 wives stayed here for a couple of days. Then, they decided to move to another place. He had been cultivating for days without any progress. He might as well take a walk. The 4 of them set off again. They went on a sightseeing tour and enjoyed all the beautiful sceneries in the world. They even stayed in a tribe deep in the mountains and forests for a couple of days to enjoy the feeling of seclusion. 2 months later, after the 4 of them flew to a large city, they saw a tragic scene. Outside the city, there were at least tens of thousands of warriors on both sides. There were quite a number of noble Lord Realm warriors and several human sovereign realm warriors on each side. It seemed that the war had been going on for a long time. Both sides had lost more than 10,000 warriors. Outside the city, it was like hell, miserable. Bai Xiaoshuang and Bai Qiushue turned pale after a few looks. Jiang Qiling had seen many big scenes before, but she hadn't killed many people recently. She was not used to seeing such a tragic scene. What? Luli pulled a long face. How could he not know that such a big war was happening at the Great Land? Was it a mistake on Lu Xingyang's part, or was someone being reckless? Since they were traveling, Luli had changed his appearance. Jiang Qiling and the others were in disguise as well. They even wore masks. Not even human sovereign realm warriors could see their real faces. Luli restrained his energy and Jiang Qiling's realm was high. Therefore, many powerful warriors could not tell how powerful they were even though they used psychic power to check. That being said, Bai Qiushue's energy was strong enough for someone to tell. Bai Xiaoshuang was at the peak of the noble Lord Realm as well, a powerful warrior. A noble Lord Realm warrior flew over. He was not overbearing. He cupped his fists and said, "Guys, we are from the Zhao family of the West Fate Mountain. We are attacking the Flame City. If you are just passing by, please do not interfere. Leave now." Zhao family of the West Fate Mountain? Luli looked at Jiang Qiling and Bai Qiushue. Both of them were confused. It must not be a famous family. But if there were human sovereign realm warriors, then it must be a 6th or 7th rank family. Luli thought about it and asked, "I don't care if you are from the Zhao family or the Li family. Why are you fighting for no reason? So many have died." As far as Luli could remember, the Great Land should be peaceful. Under the suppression of the Lu family, no force should dare to act rashly. At the very most, they would fight secretly. How come there was such a large-scale war? Was he trying to rebel against the heavens? Luli didn't know that Patriarch of Law Enforcement had designated a large piece of land in the central region as an unclaimed land and that the families were allowed to fight for it. He had been traveling around and didn't care about directions or boundaries. Little did he know that he was in the central region of the Great Land and happened to run into 2 families fighting for territory. The noble Lord Realm Warrior was annoyed by Lu Li's arrogant tone. Who did he think he was? Wars were going on everywhere in the unclaimed land. Many families were fighting for territory. This was permitted by the demon-slaying hall. Not even a young master from a wealthy family could interfere in this. The Zhao family was a 7th-rank family that belonged to the Palace of Immortals' Inquiries. Since Patriarch of Law Enforcement had decided that the unclaimed land could be fought for at will, the Zhao family must take the chance to fight for territory and develop. Also, the Zhao family had secretly sought refuge with a patriarch of the Lu family. The Zhao family promised that they would offer some benefits to the patriarch every year. Therefore, the Zhao family was confident. The noble Lord Realm Warrior was angered by Lu Li's insensitivity and said, "You think you can leave just because I say so? What are you talking about? If you don't leave now, don't blame me for not reminding you when you are killed later. Also, you have 3 pretty girls with you, TSK, TSK?" Whoosh! Before the warrior could finish his words, Lu Li had generated a hand shadow and smashed at him. How could a noble Lord Realm Warrior survive Lu Li's move? In an instant, the warrior was smashed to the ground. His body was smashed into pieces. Lu Li had always been a good-tempered person. He didn't mind humiliating him, but he wouldn't show mercy to anyone who dared to humiliate Jiang Qiling, Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang. Lu Li could wipe out the Zhao family as easily as crushing an ant, let alone a noble Lord Realm Warrior. What? Chapter 1104. Many powerful warriors of the Zhao family tried to use psychic power, but none could recognize Lu Li. Nobody expected that Lu Li would bring Jiang Qiling and the others here. Therefore, the powerful warriors of the Zhao family all thought that Lu Li was a young master from a wealthy family, a helper hired by the Ren family of the Flame City. Otherwise, why would Lu Li kill a patriarch of the Zhao family just because of a disagreement? More than a dozen powerful warriors flew over with hostility and surrounded Lu Li and the others. Another human sovereign realm warrior flew over, a dignified old man. He looked at Lu Li and Bai Qiushue with fear and asked, "Which family are you from? Why are you making an enemy of the Zhao family?" Lu Li had killed the patriarch of the Zhao family at the noble Lord Realm in one move. Even though the patriarch was only at the initial stage of the noble Lord Realm, he was not someone that could be killed by just anyone. Since he could not tell Lu Li's realm, he was worried and didn't dare to do anything rash. "It doesn't matter which family I'm from." Lu Li was not in the mood to talk to a warrior of a small family. He waved his hand and said, "Before I lose my temper, stop fighting and get lost. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences." With Lu Li's identity and status, a 6th or 7th rank family was nothing to him. Even the Jiang family, the Yi family and the Kong family would be terrified when Lu Li was angry. To him, the Zhao family was no different from an ant. Just now, the patriarch of the Zhao family had insulted Jiang Qiling and the others. How could he be nice to them? Lu Li's overbearing words enraged the warriors of the Zhao family. Lu Li killed a patriarch of the Zhao family and now he wanted a truce? From the looks of it, he was indeed a helper invited by the Ren family of Flame City. However, Lu Li was a stranger and Jiang Qiling and the other 2 disguised themselves so nobody recognized him. If they were the young masters and young mistresses of the 4 great clans, the experts of the Zhao clan would definitely recognize them. The human sovereign realm warrior of the Zhao family was enraged. He stared at Lu Li and said, "Sir, you are hiding your head but showing your tail. You killed as soon as you started. Then don't blame us for being rude. Our Zhao family is not a nobody. Lord Lu Guangding admires our Zhao family very much. How can we let you humiliate us like this?" Lu Guangding? Lu Li was surprised. He remembered this man. He was one of the patriarchs of the Lu family. He was not a patriarch with real power, but he had some influence. He didn't expect that the Zhao family's backer was an elder of the Lu family. No wonder they were so arrogant and domineering. Humph, Bai Xiaoshuang was annoyed. What was an elder of the Lu family? Because of Lu Zhantian, Bai Xiaoshuang was very displeased with the Lu family. She snorted. No wonder the Zhao family is so arrogant now that they have an elder of the Lu family, attacking cities and exterminating entire clans at the drop of a hat. How powerful! Bai Xiaoshuang's sarcasm made the Zhao family warriors think they were scared by Lu Guangding. A warrior at the peak of the noble Lord Realm sneered and said, "Little girl, are you scared? If you want to befriend Lord Lu, I can introduce you to him." Whether or not Lord Lu will take a liking to you will depend on your luck. Courting death. Once again, Lu Li was enraged. How dare they flirt with his wife in front of him? Was the Zhao family tired of living? He raised his hand and condensed another giant palm, slapping it at the man. How dare you? Powerful warriors of the Zhao family were enraged. That human sovereign realm warrior took out a spear and stabbed at Lu Li. Lu Li asked Jiang Qiling and the twins to step back. He didn't run away. He generated some feather wind weapons and shot them to all sides. How horrifying were Lu Li's feather wind weapons! He could even kill Earth Immortal Realm warriors, let alone human sovereign realm warriors. After a flash of cyan light, more than a dozen powerful warriors exploded. Not even that human sovereign realm warrior could stand it. Bang, 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 bang. After a series of explosions, more than a dozen powerful warriors of the Zhao family were reduced to a mist of blood. The warriors of the Zhao family in the distance panicked. They all saw what happened. They thought Lu Li would step back for the sake of Lu Guangding. Little did they expect that Lu Li would take action again and kill so many at once. Earth Immortal Realm. Lu Li must be at the Earth Immortal Realm, or else, how could he kill human sovereign realm warriors so easily? In the distance, the Zhao clan leader revealed a trace of fear in his eyes. He suddenly crushed a jade talisman in his hand and shouted, "Everyone, don't panic. Lord Lu Guangding is in the nearby Peach Blossom Spring. I have already informed him." Zhao family and their affiliated families were panicking after seeing how horrifying Lu Li was. But they were relieved to hear the Zhao family patriarch's words. Lu Guangding knew that the Zhao family patriarch was a patriarch of the Lu family. No matter how arrogant Lu Li was, he would have to admit defeat to the Lu family. Zhao family patriarch's intention was to intimidate Lu Li so that he wouldn't kill at will. Lu Li was intimidated. Hearing that Lu Guangding was coming, Lu Li didn't continue. He stood there, emotionless, but inside, he was sneering. Because of Lu Li's sudden intervention, the two armies stopped fighting at the same time. Zhao family didn't dare to continue because the situation was unclear. The Ren family of the Flame City was no match for the Zhao family. They would be destroyed if they kept fighting. Now that Lu Li had intervened, the Ren family was more than happy to stop. Whoosh! Not long afterward, in the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, several people came over from the distance. There were 3 of them, 1 Earth Immortal Realm warrior and 2 human Sovereign Realm warriors. The Earth Immortal Realm warrior was a middle-aged man with a dignified appearance. He didn't even look at the dead bodies on the battlefield or Lu Li. But when he glanced over Jiang Qiling and the other 2, his eyes glowed. Zhao Kun. He flew over to Zhao family patriarch directly. He glanced over with dignity and asked, "What is going on? Why did you send me a message?" "I am sorry, Lord Lu." Zhao family patriarch bowed with respect. Pointing to Lu Li, he said, "We are in the midst of a punitive expedition against the Ren family. This young master intervened rashly and killed a patriarch of our family without saying a word. My 3rd brother brought people over to reason with him, and even brought up Lord Lu's name, telling him not to take the side of the evildoer. However, he slaughtered my 3rd brother and the others, and that little girl even slandered Lord Lu's name." Zhao family patriarch was skillful in his speech. He was trying to provoke Lu Guangding's anger. Lu Guangding didn't lose his temper. But his 2 subordinates changed their expressions. One of them flew over, looked at Lu Li and asked, "I am Lu Guangyuan, the deacon of the external clan of the Lu family. Who are you? Which family are you from? Why are you killing people here?" Lu Guangding said nothing. He stared at Lu Li, Jiang Qiling, and the others. In the depth of his eyes, he was confused. Somehow, he found Lu Li and the others familiar. He didn't have many dealings with Lu Li and Jiang Qiling, but he did run into them a few times. Even though he could not see through their disguises, he was suspicious. He didn't think too much about Lu Li's real identity. Lu Li had been keeping a low profile this time. The outside world didn't know. They all thought that Lu Li was cultivating in the prison of wood. How could Lu Guangting know that Lu Li would come here and intervene in the war between two 6th and 7th rank families? Lu Li didn't even look at Lu Guangting. Staring at Lu Guangyuan, he asked, "What do you mean I am killing people? How many have I killed?" Zhao family attacked the Flames City. Over 10,000 people died here. Are you blind? You don't care about the death of over 10,000. I only killed a few people, and you want to care? What are you doing as patriarchs and deacons of the Lu family? Lu Li had been the leader of the Heaven Reverse Universe for some years. He had been in a high position for a long time. Naturally, he had the dignity of a superior. Chapter 1105. Lu Guangyuan was taken aback. He thought Lu Xingyang was lecturing Lu Li just now. That being said, Lu Guangyuan came to his senses quickly because there was something wrong with Lu Li's words. So many people had died here, but it had nothing to do with the Lu family because this was an unclaimed land. Patriarch of Law Enforcement announced on behalf of the Demon Slaying Hall that this was an unclaimed land. In other words, it was legal to fight here. Not only was it legal, but the major families could not get involved or take side. Therefore, Lu Li was asking for trouble by accusing them of being blind. Lu Guangyuan's surname was Lu. Naturally, he was a disciple of the Lu family, but from a branch. Deacons were not even qualified to meet Lu Li in person. They could only catch a glimpse of him from the distance. Naturally, Lu Guangyuan could not recognize Lu Li. When he came to his senses, he flew into a rage. Who was this punk? How could he be so arrogant? How could he be scared of Lu Guangyuan? Lu Guangyuan did not recognize Lu Li. Lu Li was not a famous young master of the 4 major families, let alone the Lu family. Otherwise, Lu Guangyuan would have known Lu Li. How dare you? The interspatial ring on his hand glowed as he took out a sword. He said angrily, "Punk, I will give you one chance. Kneel down now. Also, tell your family and ask your seniors to come. Otherwise, you will die in vain under my sword." Ha ha ha! Bai Xiaoshuang was amused. A deacon of the Lu family was asking which family the leader of the Lu family was from, and he was asking Lu Xingyang to come? It seemed that if Lu Li did not reveal his identity, there would be internal strife. But Bai Xiaoshuang's smile surprised Lu Guangting. How could Bai Xiaoshuang smile under such circumstances? Usually, a girl would have been scared out of her wits. If Bai Xiaoshuang was in her right mind, she must have something up her sleeve. Lu Guangyuan turned to Lu Li and used psychic power to check. When he saw Lu Li's white hair, Lu Guangyuan's heart skipped a beat. There were many white-haired people at the Great Land, and some special races had hair of different colors. That being said, Lu Guangting had a bad feeling about Lu Li's domineering aura and the pressure when he spoke. Lu Guangting used the shrink skill. Even though Lu Guangting was at the Earth Immortal Realm, he could not tell. Lu Guangting tried to sense Lu Li's energy, only to find that Lu Li was unfathomable. Lu Guangting was at the Earth Immortal Realm. F***ck, he was so young, but his power was immeasurable. His hair was white and his aura was so imposing. In the entire divine Great Land, there was only one person like him. At first, Lu Guangting never thought it was Lu Li. But the more he looked at it, the more he thought it was him. On the other side, Lu Guangyuan was a little impatient. Just as he was about to make a move, he felt a white light flash behind him. A large palm suddenly slapped the back of his head, sending him flying. The Zhao family's patriarch, the Zhao family's experts, and the countless soldiers below were dumbfounded. They had thought that Lu Guangting was going to attack Lu Li. Little did they expect that Lu Guangyuan would be smashed away. Sixth brother? When Lu Guangyuan was suddenly attacked, he was furious. However, when he saw that it was Lu Guangding, he suppressed the anger in his heart. His eyes were filled with astonishment as he crawled up to look at Lu Guangding and asked, "You, shut up!" Lu Guangding reprimanded coldly, then knelt down on one knee in midair respectfully and said, "Guangding greets young Master Li." Wow, everyone was shocked. Lu Guangding was at the Earth Immortal Realm and a patriarch of the Lu family, the most important person in the Lu family. How could he kneel to a young man? Many people were confused. They could not come to their senses. Young Master Li? Lu Guangyuan and the other deacon of the Lu family came to their senses. There was only one person in the entire Great Land that could make Lu Guangding kneel and call him young Master Li, and that was Lu Li. Plop! Lu Guangyuan dropped to his knees, trembling. The other deacon flew down and dropped to his knees as well, terrified. The person that the patriarchs and deacons of the Lu family feared the most was not Patriarch of Law Enforcement, the old-fashioned Lu Xingyang, or Great-Grandfather 5. It was Lu Li. Patriarch of Law Enforcement did not care about the Lu family. Lu Xingyang was harsh and old-fashioned. But as he grew older, he became soft-hearted. On many occasions, he would not punish Lu Xingyang severely even if he did something wrong. As for Great-Grandfather 5, he was a good man. Lu Li did not have deep feelings for the Lu family. Back in the days, the Lu family disappointed him. Lu Zhantian and Lu Fengyun ended up in Lu Li's hands. What was more, Lu Li was the most powerful warrior in the Heaven Reverse universe. Lu Xingyang, Great-Grandfather 5, and Patriarch of Law Enforcement would not disobey his orders. If Lu Li was not happy with them, he would ask them to get out of the Lu family instead of killing them. In that case they would be doomed. Lu Guangyuan, in particular, almost wet his pants. Luckily, Lu Guangding slapped him away. Otherwise, if he were to attack Lu Li, even if Lu Li did not kill him, he would be punished severely when he returned to the Lu family. Now that he was recognized, Lu Li did not want to hide anymore. His body glowed in white light. His muscles moved. He grew taller and more handsome. He had returned to his original looks. Everyone knew what he looked like. Lu Li's portrait had been pasted up in every city. Many people had memorized his face. Plop, plop. More and more people dropped to their knees. Zhao family patriarch and powerful warriors were terrified. They could not believe that this young man was the most powerful warrior in the Heaven Reverse universe. Greetings, Grand Master Lu. Long live you, Grand Master Lu. The city lord of the Flames City was overjoyed. He dropped to his knees and shouted. He felt his eyes were brimming with tears. They had thought that the Flames City was doomed and that the Ren family would be wiped out. Unexpectedly, Lu Li showed up all of a sudden and helped their family. Greetings, Grand Master Lu. Long live you, Grand Master Lu. Many people followed suit and shouted. Their eyes were filled with passion. Both the Ren family and the Zhao family were thrilled. After all, it was a great honor for them to be able to see Lu Li in person. Lu Guangding, come with me. Lu Li said nothing. He turned around and flew away emotionlessly. Lu Guangding stood up and followed him. Seeing that Bai Xiaoshuang and the twins were following him, Lu Guangding put on a fawning smile. They had disguised themselves with treasures, but Lu Guangding could tell who they were. Bai Xiaoshuang snorted. She was unhappy, but she wouldn't say anything since Lu Li was here. Lu Li and the others were 30 miles away. He turned around and asked Lu Guangding coldly, "Tell me, what is going on? You know what will happen if I am displeased." Yes. Lu Guangding dropped to his knees in fear and said frankly, "Young Master Li, I am guilty and I admit my guilt. Zhao family gave me billions of Xian crystals and asked me to be their support. When they were expanding their forces, I didn't have to do anything. I just had to ensure the rule of the ownerless land. If other families were to suppress them, I would stand up for them. I was greedy. I thought it was not against the rules, so I agreed." Ownerless land? Rules? Chapter 1106. Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang never cared about the Great Land. The Bai family was a small family, and they didn't have to worry about Madame Yen. Therefore, they had never heard of the ownerless land. But Jiang Qiling was different. She was the family patriarch of the Jiang family. Even though she didn't care much about the Jiang family, she still had some information. She had heard something about the ownerless land. As such, she winked at Lu Li but didn't say anything. Lu Li was a clever man. He had a vague idea. He asked, "What do you mean by unoccupied land? Explain it clearly." "Young Master Li, you don't know?" Lu Guangding was surprised, but he didn't ask further. He told Lu Li about the notice from the demon-slaying hall and added, "Many families are fighting over territories at the ownerless land. Wars are breaking out everywhere. Also, many patriarchs of the 4 families are secretly supporting their own forces. They don't have the intention to take full control, but they all want some benefit. What's more, the rising forces can be controlled secretly so that there won't be any trouble. Young Master Li, Zhao family didn't ask me to help them. They asked me to step in when the other families were involved. In this way, they wouldn't have to worry about the suppression from the other 3 families. Of course, I am still wrong. Please punish me." Lu Guangding was smart. Even though he tried to defend himself, he admitted his mistake. He was willing to let Lu Li do whatever he wanted. Lu Li's anger subsided. He was angry because he didn't know about the ownerless land. He thought the patriarchs of the Lu family were helping one family to attack another for their own interest. Since it was Patriarch of Law Enforcement's idea, Lu Li didn't feel so conflicted. On second thought, Lu Li understood Patriarch of Law Enforcement's intention. He was setting the tone for the Lu family, bringing a sense of crisis and challenge to the Lu family at all times. At the same time, he could bring some vitality to the Heaven Reverse universe. The thought of ownerless land reminded Lu Li of the Asmodeans, the Feather race, the Barbarian race and the Voodoo race. Back in the days, Emperor of Heaven Reverse could have wiped out the 4 races, but he didn't. Maybe he wanted to put some pressure on the human race so that the human warriors could improve themselves and each generation would grow stronger. Since it was okay to go to war, Lu Li wouldn't blame Lu Guangding for secretly supporting the Zhao family. If the water was too clear, there would be no fish. He understood this principle. When a family grew big, it was inevitable that some scum would appear. As long as they did not harm the foundation of the Lu family and they were not evil, Lu Li would not interfere unless they offended someone close to him like Lu Zhantian did. As for the fact that Lu Guangyuan had offended him, he didn't even take it to heart. A person's breadth of mind depended on their position. If Lu Li was narrow-minded, he wouldn't have achieved what he had today. He thought about it for a while and decided to give Lu Guangding a warning to prevent them from messing around. He said coldly, "You can go back and ask Great-Grandfather 5 for punishment. Ask him to pass on my words. I agree with the matter of the ownerless land, but the 4 families better not interfere secretly. Deal with them one by one. Also, spread the word to the ownerless lands. While it's fine to kill one another, it's absolutely forbidden to kill innocent civilians. Once discovered, the entire clan will be annihilated." "Yes." Lu Guangding hurriedly bowed respectfully and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Lu Li didn't punish him directly. It seemed that Lu Li was going to let him off lightly. He would be punished by the family, but he wouldn't lose his position as a patriarch. "Let's go." Now that it was all a misunderstanding, Lu Li wouldn't interfere anymore. He wouldn't care no matter how many people died at the ownerless land. The demon-slaying hall had made an announcement. Small families that were not powerful should not stay at the ownerless land or just surrender to a major family. There was no such thing in the world as wanting to gain benefits without risking their lives. Lu Li didn't care too much about the fact that those who died were all warriors. On the path of cultivation, there was danger at every step. To change one's fate, One must not be afraid of death, and one must be prepared to die. Those who killed would be killed. This was an unchanging truth. Luli left with his 3 wives. The scene of killing was not pleasant to watch. This time, he was here to have fun with his 3 wives, not to watch people kill. He took them to the south. After teleporting, they arrived at the ocean plains in the south. Luli had never been here before, and neither had Jiang Qiling. It was said that the people here were of special races. It was an exotic place. As expected, the scenery here was different from that of the Central Plains. The weather here was hot and there were frequent thunderstorms. The scenery here was quite different from that of the Central Plains. The 4 of them found a small island where there was a tribe that was warm and hospitable. Even though Luli was not from the ocean plains, and judging by his accent, he didn't seem to be from the ocean plains, the people in the tribe were still warm. The girls here looked at Luli with passion. The young men here were obsessed with Jiang Qiling, Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang as well. After all, everyone loved beauty. Luli built a cabin by the seaside outside the tribe. He gave the tribe chief some Xian stones and planned to settle down here for a couple of months to study the map of fundamental principle. This place was far away from the prosperity of the Central Plains. It was more like a paradise. Bai Qiushue, Jiang Qiling and Bai Xiaoshuang were happy. They were happy to have Luli with them every day. Same as before, during the day, Bai Xiaoshuang would go fishing and bring back some seafood. Bai Qiushue would prepare the food, Jiang Qiling would help and Luli would eat. At dusk, the 4 of them would take a walk by the seaside, watching the sun set. At night, they would sleep in each other's arms. They had a wonderful time. The only thing that troubled Luli was the integration of the map of fundamental principle. He had been on the island for more than 3 months, but he had no clue. He knew that this could not be rushed, but he was still worried. Luli was worried about the map of fundamental principle, while Jiang Qiling, Bai Xiaoshuang and Bai Qiushue were worried about their stomach. They had been away for almost a year. Every day or 2, one of the 3 would spend time with Luli. Sometimes, the 3 of them would let go of their shyness and stay with Luli. However, it had been a long time and nothing was happening to their stomachs. If it were not for the fact that Luli was determined not to take concubines, the 3 of them would try to marry 1 or 2 sisters for Luli to see if it was Luli's problem or the 3 of them. Some pretty girls on the island were interested in Luli. After all, as the most powerful warrior of the Heaven Reverse universe, Luli was charismatic. How could girls from small tribes not be interested? Also, on several occasions, the sea beasts invaded the island and Luli helped them. Luli could kill the horrifying sea beasts easily. To those girls, Luli was no different from a god. Once, Jiang Qiling joked that the daughter of the chief of the island had a crush on Luli. She wanted to test Luli's reaction, but Luli turned her down firmly. Time flew by. Soon, another 2 months had passed. Luli did not make much progress. But today, he had to leave. It was not that he was tired of the scenery here. It was just that He sent him a message. Something was happening in the waters region. In a place, space was trembling violently. Clearly, some powerful warriors were breaking down spatial barriers. Chapter 1107. Luli had to go back as soon as the waters region was disturbed. He teleported back to the Central Plains with his 3 wives and then teleported to the demon-slaying battleground. He told the 3 girls to go back to the prison of wood on their own. Back at the demon-slaying city, Luli told Patriarch of Law Enforcement to move disciples of the 4 major families back to the prison of wood according to the original plan. All patriarchs and warriors of the demon-slaying city had to leave. Luli was confident that he could defeat the enemies, but he had to be cautious. Emperor of Heaven Reverse was in closed-door cultivation. Staying at the demon-slaying city was pointless. As for Patriarch of Law Enforcement, he could not help even if he stayed. Luli could go to the waters region by himself. The entire great land was in action. The disciples of the four major families had no choice but to go back to the prison of wood. It was not fun in the prison of wood, but what if something went wrong outside? Master of Fairy Fox, Master of Heichi, when this is over, I will set you free. You can go back to the Paleobeast realm. Luli had promised Master of Fairy Fox and Master of Heichi at the demon-slaying city. The two would not be of much use if they stayed. Instead, they would affect Luli. Luli planned to leave all the soul slaves, apart from Chen Tianxian. Master of Fairy Fox and Master of Heichi were overjoyed. Living with Luli was not hard. But who would not yearn for freedom? Who would not want to go back to their own territory and be a lord? Was it fun to be a coward? Luli teleported to the ocean land of the east and began to teleport again. He entered the small world of the earthly flames city and then went to the waters region. He went alone and did not bring any powerful warriors with him. He only brought Hiyu. After all, she was his eyes and ears. With Hiyu around, he could monitor the overall situation. When Hiyu sent the message, the space at the waters region had just begun to tremble. Luli teleported without rest. It only took him 3 days to arrive at the waters region. Teleportation formations would take time. If he had to teleport from region to region, it would take him at least a month. Fortunately, Kumang had built many large teleportation formations along the way. Kumang had learned something from the altars. The teleportation formations he built were fast. Space has been opened. Not long after they entered the waters region, Hiyu reported with a serious face, 5 semi-god realm warriors are here, all at the peak of the semi-god realm. 5. Luli frowned. Not many people came. Yanzhen must have a good understanding of his situation. He knew that it was useless to rely on numbers. This time, Yanzhen would probably come in person. Hiyu was monitoring everything. After all, everything was under Hiyu's control. The battlefield was at the waters region. Luli did not care about the casualties of civilians there. He would not care about the civilians of the waters region. Lu did not care about it. If Yanzhen used the people of this realm to threaten him, he would not compromise even if he had to kill them all. The king of this world was Patriarch of Law Enforcement's sole slave. Patriarch of Law Enforcement had already sent a message to the king of this world to follow Lu Li's orders. As he could, the sea region, there, in God, sea semi-god, sea li-a, he as li-as. That man was the only semi-god realm cultivator left in this realm, the most powerful cultivator in the waters region. This powerful warrior understood the ancient language. As soon as he saluted, Luli waved his hand and said, "Lead the way. Teleport to the water rebel city." The 5 invading semi-god realm warriors were at the northeast of the waters region, while Luli was in the center. It would take too long to fly there. With this semi-god realm warrior leading the way, they could arrive in 1 or 2 days. None of them are moving. They have found a place to hide. One of them has gone to capture the dark, one-horned people. After several rounds of teleportation, Hiyu reported the latest situation to Luli. She added, "They all know about my subsidiary bodies. They have begun to clear out the nearby ones." Okay. Luli smiled. He did not think it was a big deal. He ordered, "Send over subsidiary bodies. Hide nearby and surround them." Several hours later, Hiyu reported that all the semi-god realm warriors were on the move. This time they did not hide. Instead, they dashed into a city and slaughtered all the powerful warriors in the city. They began to teleport as well. They know that the waters region is mine now? Luli was not surprised. The semi-god realm warriors could find out many things by searching the souls of some leaders of the dark, one-horned people. With Hiyu's subsidiary bodies, the semi-god realm warriors were well aware that Luli knew their whereabouts. If so, it was pointless to hide. They might as well kill their way out in the open. Luli checked the map of the waters region. Pointing to a place, he said, let's teleport there and fight at the Thunder City. The old king of the Waters region took a look at the map and knelt to Luli gratefully. The city Luli pointed to was an island city in the sea. Due to the frequent thunderstorms in the sea, there were few cities and few people. Luli chose to fight here because he would not let so many people of the Waters region die. Teleportation continued. 10 hours later, Luli arrived at the Thunder City. The old king of the Waters region ordered all the people in this city and nearby cities to relocate at once. Otherwise, they would be accidentally wounded or killed in the upcoming battle. Luli asked the old king to send a message to the 5 invading semi-god realm warriors, telling them that he was waiting for them at the Thunder City and that they could come if they wanted the wicked bead. With all this done, Luli put the old king of the Waters region back into the wicked bead. He and Hiyu sat on a rock outside the city and waited quietly. Compared to the last time, when warriors of the 9 universes invaded, Luli was under less pressure this time. Even if Yanzhen came with a relic weapon and a relic artifact, at least Luli would not suffer a crushing defeat. Luli sat on the rock leisurely with Hiyu standing behind him. The wind on the rock was strong. Their robes were fluttering. Luli's white hair was not tied up. It danced in the wind. As time went on, it grew darker. In the distance, dark clouds covered the sky. Thunderbolts were flashing. Soon, another storm would break out. Luli sat with his legs crossed and Hiyu stood behind him calmly. She had witnessed how the immortal's body killed warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm, as if they were ants. Hiyu was confident in Luli. 2 hours later, it was completely dark. Finally, a ray of light came out from the city. A moment later, 5 people came out from the teleportation formation. As soon as the 5 came out, they used psychic power to check the entire city. Many of them focused on Luli, who was sitting on a rock not far away from the city. Luli used psychic power to check the 5 as well. He used psychic power to locate one of them easily. He could tell that this person was the leader of the 5. His bearing and majestic manner were impressive. What caught Luli's attention most was the purple armor he wore. Not only was the armor elegant, but the patterns on the armor were so beautiful. There was a faint stream of air moving in the armor. It was as if there was a dragon hiding in the armor. Relic. Yanzhen is here. Chapter 1108. Yanzhen and the others did not do anything after they arrived at the Thunder City. They merely used their energy to suppress the few scouts left in the city so that they would not move. Yanzhen used psychic power to check on Luli. His well-defined face was filled with surprise. Luli had reached the semi-god realm. According to Jun Hongye and the others, Luli was at the Earth Immortal realm a few years ago, and it was evident that he had reached the semi-god realm not long ago. In a few years, a young man had reached the semi-god realm from the Earth Immortal realm. When the news spread out, the 9 universes would be in an uproar. Even Yen Tiangang, known as the most talented warrior of the Yen family, spent 10 years to reach the semi-god realm from the Earth Immortal realm. Yanzhen remembered that when Luli made a scene at the Central Imperial Universe, he was not even 20 years old. It had only been a dozen years. Reaching the semi-god realm from the noble lord realm in more than a decade was a speed that defied nature. I cannot let Luli grow any further. Yanzhen made up his mind. Luli was too dangerous. If he was allowed to grow, it would be easy for him to become an immortal. Even in the divinity, if Luli was lucky enough, he could surpass Yen Tiangang. By then, the Yen family could be doomed eternally because of Luli. Of course, even though Yanzhen was afraid of Luli, he was not worried that Luli would pose too much of a threat to the Yen family. Yanzhen would not be afraid even if Luli became an immortal, let alone at his current realm. The Yen family had the divine imperial city. Throughout history, several immortals tried to break the city but failed. Yanzhen thought for a while and then flew up. The 4 semi-god realm warriors of the Yen family followed him. The 4 were senior warriors of the Yen family, all at the peak of the semi-god realm. 2 of them were from the Yen family and the other 2 were affiliated warriors of the Yen family. Outside the city, Yanjun stopped about 20 miles away from Luli. A distance of 30 miles was not far. The 5 of them could cover it in an instant. That being said, the distance would not cause Luli to misunderstand and think that they were about to make a move. Yanjun gazed at Luli in the distance and said using Xian energy, "Luli, I am Yanjun, family patriarch of the Yen family." Luli did not stand up. He looked into Yanjun's eyes. The wicked bead glowed as he was put away. Then, Luli said, "Yen family patriarch, welcome to the Waters region. What brings you here? Do you want to collect the corpses of Yen Gu and the others?" Luli didn't show any respect to Yanjun because he didn't think there was anything to talk about with her. He killed several semi-god realm warriors of the Yen family, and the Yen family caused the death of over 10 million civilians of the Heaven Reverse universe. There was already a blood feud between him and the Yen clan. There was no possibility of peace talks. Yanjun was not angry at all. The 4 old warriors next to her were calm as well. Those old warriors were sophisticated. They would not lose control of their temper just because of one sentence from Luli. Yanjun said calmly. Her voice was dignified and convincing. "Luli, even though you are from the small Heaven Reverse universe, you are a top talent among the dozens of universes nearby. I'm not here to become enemies with you. If possible, I'd like to cooperate with you. I can pretend that the things that happened in the past never happened." "Really?" Luli was surprised. He curled his lips and said, "Yen family patriarch, you are broad-minded. Cooperation? What kind of cooperation do you want? Since it is cooperation, it must be a win-win situation, right?" "Of course," Yanjun said, "since it is cooperation, I will not let either side suffer. What I want to say is, Luli, how much do you know about the Yen family?" Yanjun didn't want to start a war and he kept talking? Luli didn't mind. After all, he could monitor the situation. He wanted to see what Yanjun had up his sleeve. Luli thought about it and said, "I don't know much about the Yen family. I heard that it is the most powerful family in the 9 universes. Your forefather, Yen Tiangang, is a mighty warrior in the divinity? He is doing well in the divinity? Also, is the Yen family influential in the 9 universes? Do you have many divine sources?" "Ha ha ha!" Yen Tiangang laughed out loud. His laughter was full of pride. There was a vague sense of dominance. If it were a small martial artist, they would probably kneel down and worship him. After a while, Yen Tiangang said, "Luli, do you know how many families have been dominating a universe for 1,000,000 years? 1. Only the Yen family. For 1,000,000 years, the Yen family has been dominating the divine, imperial universe. Never has the divine, imperial universe been conquered. That is the source of our confidence. Another thing, over the hundreds of thousands of years, many warriors have reached the immortal realm. But more than half of them have passed away. The rest of the immortals are following our forefather. That is the source of our confidence." Yanjun's words were arrogant. But he did have the right to be so. There were some families that had a history of 1,000,000 years, such as the Lung family, the Jun family, the Chun family, and the Wu family. Over the course of history, these families would rise from time to time and dominate a universe. Unfortunately, not long afterward, these families would be attacked and driven back to their ancestral lands. They would hide for hundreds of thousands of years before they dared to come out again. Many geniuses ascended to the divinity from the 9 universes, but Yen Tiangang was the best. There was no doubt about that. Not even Emperor of Heaven Reverse could compare. From Emperor of Heaven Reverse's tone, Luli could tell that he was not doing as well as Yen Tiangang. dominating the 9 universes for 1,000,000 years and having a powerful backer in the divinity was the source of Yen family's confidence. Lu Li already knew this information. It was Chen Tianxian who told him. Lu Li pretended to be calm, but deep down, he was not convinced. So what if the Yen family was strong? In his life, Lu Li never relied on others and he did not like to rely on others. What was more, the death of millions of civilians of the Heaven Reverse universe was too much for him to forgive. The hatred between him and the Yen family could only be resolved with blood. Yen Zhen continued after a pause. Lu Li, I know you want to go to the divinity and follow Emperor of Heaven Reverse. I can tell you clearly that Emperor of Heaven Reverse is in big trouble. The Sword Sect has offended a big shot. Not long afterward, the Sword Sect will be wiped out. My forefather's backer is many times more powerful than the Sword Sect. Do you want to make an enemy out of a powerful force? Or do you want to go to the divinity and rise up quickly? If it was a leader of a small force, he would have been shaken by Yen Zhen's words. Lu Li did not answer. He did not want to waste time with Yen Zhen. He asked directly, What do you think? Yen family patriarch, what do you want me to do? It's simple. Yen Zhen stated his terms. Give me the wicked bead. It will bring you endless troubles, even in the divinity. As long as you give me the wicked bead, I can give you many divine sources so that you can build an immortal body in advance. It will be easier for you to become an immortal. When you go to the divinity, my forefather will give you endless resources and protection so that you can rise up in the divinity. In a few years, you will be as powerful as Emperor of Heaven Reverse and even more powerful than my forefather. You will have the world at your beck and call in the divinity. Chapter 1109. Lu Li was not a 3-year-old. He was not a man who was inexperienced and afraid of trouble. The Yen family was the most powerful family in the 9 universes, but it was not a threat to him. Yen Tiangang was strong and had a strong force at the southern divinity. But could he control the entire divinity? Of course not. If Yen Tiangang were that capable, he would have come to the Heaven Reverse universe in person. The wicked bead was something that Emperor Huang had risked his life to get back to the divinity. Now that he had given it to Yen Zhen, he would not allow the wicked bead to be lost, not to mention giving it up. Since they could not reach an agreement, it was pointless to waste words. The hatred between the two sides could not be reconciled. Then, they must fight. You don't know what's good for you. Yen Zhen was enraged. He had spent so much time talking, and Lu Li just said that he wanted to fight. He felt humiliated and said angrily, Since you are so stupid, then go to hell. Attack. Swish, as soon as Yen Zhen finished his words, the 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm took action. One of them was an old man. The space above Lu Li's head began to tremble. A huge claw came out and reached toward Lu Li. 2 of the other 3 semi-god realm warriors dashed toward Lu Li from the left and the right. Both of them had quasi-relic weapons in their hands. One of them vanished in midair. Clearly, he had used a powerful skill to hide, trying to assassinate Lu Li. As soon as Yen Zhen shouted, the wicked bead began to glow. When the claw came out, Lu Li had disappeared from the rocks and entered the wicked bead. Boom! The huge claw smashed on the wicked bead. The claw was crushed, but the wicked bead remained intact. The other 2 semi-god realm warriors dashed over. One of them was holding a halberd and the other a saber. They hacked at the wicked bead at the same time. Both knew that the wicked bead was strong. It was said that a group of semi-god realm warriors could not crack it open. That being said, the 2 wanted to try. What was more, Lu Li had gone in. What else could they do? They had to find a way to crack the wicked bead. Boom, boom! The 2 hacked at the wicked bead. However, the wicked bead only gave out a faint cyan glow. It did not move one bit. A look of astonishment flashed in their eyes. They had not expected the rumors to be true. This divine artifact was truly powerful. When Yen Tiangang said that the wicked bead was a supreme relic, he was not just shooting his mouth off. It was possible. Humph! An old man snorted. He swung his saber and hacked at the wicked bead again. Clearly, he was not convinced. Even if he couldn't break the pearl, he should at least send it flying, right? In any case, he was at the peak of the soul formation stage, and his offensive power was astonishing. This hurt his pride too much. Hiss, the other elder also attacked. This person's attack was shocking. His halberd slashed out, wind and lightning howled, and the world seemed to change color. Wherever the halberd passed, cracks appeared in the air. No wonder he was a cultivator at the peak of the soul formation stage. Boom! Almost at the same time, their attacks landed on the wicked bead. This time, the wicked bead reacted more strongly. It suddenly glowed, which stunned the two. In the distance, Yen Zhen was taken aback as well. She thought the wicked bead was cracked. However, in the next second, a man appeared outside the wicked bead. It was a headless body. The immortal's body flapped his golden wings. As soon as he came out, a ferocious energy spread out. Dark clouds loomed over, and the space became suffocating. The immortal's body. Yen Zhen's eyes glinted. A glaring saber appeared in his hand. He dashed over and shouted, "Brother Six, step back!" Whoosh! The two semi-god realm warriors didn't need Yen Zhen's reminder. They stepped back at once. But how fast was the immortal's body? He was 10 times faster than a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm. One of the semi-god realm warriors saw a glare and the immortal's body was right in front of him. A golden fist was enlarging in front of him. The semi-god realm warrior knew he could not dodge. He snorted and held his saber in front of the fist, trying to stop the immortal's body's attack. Bang! With a muffled sound, the quasi-relic in the old warrior's hand was broken. The golden fist did not slow down at all. It landed on the old warrior's head. Boom! The old warrior had a quasi-relic helmet on his head. However, as the immortal's body's fist landed on him, his head exploded, and so did the old warrior's body. The quasi-relic armor and helmet were shattered into pieces, and the pieces scattered all over the sky. Hiss, hiss, a few gasps were heard. The eyes of the other divine transformation realm cultivators were filled with fear. According to the intelligence, the immortal's body was horrifying, but not to this extent. Run! The other 3 semi-god realm warriors did not hesitate at all. Yen Zhen was the only one who could stop the immortal's body. If they stayed, they would only face death. Swish! Yen Zhen was shocked as well. That being said, he did not slow down at all in midair. He held a glaring saber in his hand. The saber was not long, but there was a ray of light flowing in it. Just like the purple armor he was wearing, there seemed to be a dragon swimming in the saber. Die! Yen Zhen shouted in rage. He swung the relic weapon and hacked at the immortal's body. While he was swinging the relic weapon, the ray of light suddenly came out and transformed into a faint shadow of a beast that enveloped the immortal's body. Roar! As soon as the beast's shadow came out, a loud roar came out. A surge of extremely ferocious energy spread out. If Luli were outside, he would have been immobilized by this chi and energy. If there were warriors below the noble lord realm nearby, they would be crushed to death by this energy. Buzzing, at this moment, the relic weapon was glaring as if the sun was about to explode. The world nearby had lost its color. The only thing that could be seen was the glow of the relic weapon. The relic weapon is impressive. Luli could not sense the ferocious energy of the relic weapon. But what he saw with psychic power was enough to astonish him. A divine tool was indeed a divine tool. Its might was shocking. That being said, Luli was not worried that the immortal's body would be smashed by the relic weapon. Emperor Z once said that his body was the strongest at the 3rd plane of the divinity. Luli did not know what that meant. But he believed that the average relic weapon would not be able to do that. What was more, the one using the relic weapon was a mortal man. Bang! As Luli had expected, when the relic weapon landed on the immortal's body, there was only some sparks and the relic weapon was bounced off. Luli and the others used psychic power to check the immortal's body. They realized that the attack did not leave a single wound on the immortal's body, not even a mark. How is this possible? Yen Zhen was astonished. He had thought that the relic weapon could kill the immortal's body easily. It turned out that the relic weapon could not even leave a scratch on the immortal's body. Go, Brother Six, go! This time, Yen Zhen was terrified. With the relic armor, the immortal's body should not be able to kill him. That being said, if the other 3 semi-god realm warriors did not run, they would have to stay in the waters region forever. P.S. Today, I went back to my hometown to visit my grandpa. I don't think the updates will be stable for the next couple of days. I will update them later. The old man's condition was fluctuating. The more I stayed with him, the less he would be. Alas. Chapter 11:10. Swish, just as Yen Zhen finished his words, the immortal's body's wings fluttered. He dashed over and punched at Yen Zhen's chest. Yen Zhen was distracted because he shouted. The immortal's body was too fast. The immortal's body's fist was already on Yen Zhen's chest. Bang! With a muffled sound, Yen Zhen's relic armor glowed in a purple light. Yen Zhen was smashed away. But nothing happened to him. There was not even a drop of blood coming out from his mouth. *T, is a relic armor that strong? Luli had been watching with psychic power. He was taken aback. He had thought that even with a relic armor, Yen Zhen would at least be hurt. He didn't expect that nothing would happen to him. Whoosh! Yen Zhen dashed over and swung his relic weapon at the immortal's body. He did not want to destroy the immortal's body. Instead, he wanted to stall the immortal's body so that the other 3 semi-god realm warriors could run away. The immortal's body, go after the other 3. Lu Li's voice was heard as he gave the immortal's body an order. Since he could not kill Yen Zhen in a short time, then he would kill the other 3 semi-god realm warriors first. Whoosh! The immortal's body spread his wings and sped up to the extreme. He ignored Yen Zhen's attack and went after a semi-god realm warrior on the left. The immortal's body was as fast as a blur. Yen Zhen wanted to stop him, but he realized that compared to the immortal's body, he was too slow. The semi-god realm warrior on the left had just run for dozens of miles when he heard some noise behind him. A creepy and horrifying energy enveloped him. From the depth of his soul, he sensed a fatal danger. He had no intention of fighting back. He tore apart space at once and used a special skill to sneak into a crack in space. He wanted to hide in the crack to evade the immortal's body's attack. Swish! Clearly, he was overthinking. The immortal's body punched at the sky. Space trembled violently. The semi-god realm warrior was shaken out from the crack in space. The immortal's body punched at his back. No, the semi-god realm warrior shouted in terror. Unfortunately, a surge of energy surged into his body. Then, that surge of energy exploded inside him. The semi-god realm warrior was reduced to a mist of blood. Even his quasi-relic armor cracked. Old Hong! Yen Zhen howled in grief. This man was not a member of the Yen clan, but his relationship with him was deeper than that of a real brother. This was because this person had followed him for hundreds of years and was his most loyal subordinate. He had shed blood for him many times, and the 2 of them were even in-laws. One could imagine the relationship between them. Luli, I will kill you. I will cut you into pieces. I will wipe out the Heaven Reverse Universe. Yen Zhen roared furiously. His voice was infused with dark force, and it resounded in a radius of thousands of miles. There were still some people from the waters region who hadn't escaped far away. Hearing Yen Zhen's roar, They all shivered, thinking that a ghost had escaped from hell. Continue the chase. Lu Li flew the wicked bead over and ordered the immortal's body. He turned a deaf ear to Yanjin's threat. From the moment the Yen family sent warriors to invade the Heaven Reverse Universe, he and the Yen family had come to an end. Such threats were meaningless. Xiao! The immortal's body flapped its wings and turned into a beam of light, chasing after the other semi-god realm warrior. The immortal's body was 10 times faster than a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm, so it was too easy for him to catch up with them. Lu Li, tell the immortal's body to stop. Let's talk. Yanjin chased for a while. He was sure that he could not catch up with the immortal's body. Seeing that the immortal's body was about to catch up with brother 6 of his family, Yanjin had to suppress his anger and yelled. This time, he brought 4 semi-god realm warriors with him, and all of them were at the peak of the semi-god realm. They were the best of the Yen family. The Yen family had quite a number of semi-god realm warriors. Last time, Yen Gu brought 2 with him and both died. If another 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm were to die, the Yen family would suffer a great loss. Though the divine imperial city would not fall and the Yen family would not be wiped out, the Yen family would not have the power to deter the 9 universes. Talk? There is nothing to talk about. Lu Li's answer made the anger that Yanjin had been suppressing burst out. The immortal's body dashed on and soon caught up with brother 6 of the Yen family. Yanjin shouted again, Lu Li, if you dare to kill my 6th brother, I will kill all the people of the Heaven Reverse Universe. You have the wicked bead to protect you, but can you protect the people of the Heaven Reverse Universe? Charge! Lu Li said coldly without any hesitation. He could not be merciful to his enemies. He had to kill them all to make them afraid. That was the only way to solve the problem once and for all. If Lu Li compromised this time, Yanjin would threaten him with the people of the Heaven Reverse Universe again. Sooner or later, Lu Li would be killed by Yanjin. Boom! The immortal's body caught up with brother 6 of the Yen family and punched him on the back. Brother 6 of the Yen family exploded into a mist of blood right before Yanjin's eyes. At that moment, Yanjin trembled. His back was bent as if he had lost his soul. Regret and sorrow were written all over his face. Yanjin was informed that the immortal's body was powerful. Yet, this time, he was stubborn enough to bring 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm. Yanjin had thought that he could stop the immortal's body in person and let the 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm crack the wicked bead. Little did he expect that this would be the result. Keep going, Lu Li said emotionlessly. The immortal's body flapped his wings and dashed toward another direction. One of the semi-god realm warriors was further away and could no longer be seen. However, he used subsidiary bodies were all over the waters region. This semi-god realm warrior was under her surveillance at all times. Where could he go? The immortal's body and the wicked bead flew to the right quickly. Yanjin was stunned for a moment but went after them anyway. Unfortunately, he was not as fast as the immortal's body. That being said, he was much faster than the wicked bead. Lu Li was just there to enjoy the show. Speed did not matter. The last semi-god realm warrior had run for thousands of miles. In the time for one incense stick to burn, the immortal's body had caught up with him. The immortal's body and Lu Li shared a spiritual connection. The immortal's body was like Lu Li's puppet or beast. Lu Li could control the immortal's body to track down the warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm. Boom! When Yanjin caught up with the semi-god realm warrior, he only heard a noise of explosion in the distance. He used psychic power to check. The sky was filled with blood mist. He could not even see the last of that semi-god realm warrior. Ah, ah, ah! Yanjin raised his head to the sky and roared. His voice was filled with endless sorrow and rage, mixed with a trace of regret. He regretted his wrong decision. Even if he could get the wicked bead this time, the Yen family would have suffered a great loss. Charge, charge, charge. Yenjin's eyes turned red. There happened to be a small city down there with many dark, one-horned people. Although he didn't make any unusual movements, he casually condensed several huge handprints and bombarded them indiscriminately. At this moment, only slaughter could vent the rage in his heart, and only then could he alleviate the guilt and regret in his heart. How could the dark, one-horned people in the small city survive a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm? Many castles in the city were leveled to the ground. Many innocent dark, one-horned people were minced and died without a whole body. Luli. Chapter 11:11. Killing Civilians of the Heaven Reverse Universe? Luli snorted and ordered the immortal's body, attack Yenjin and take his relic weapon. Yenjin's relic armor was strong. The immortal's body would not be able to crack it any time soon. At the same time, the immortal's body's defense was so strong that Yenjin's attacks could not inflict any damage on the immortal's body. Therefore, Luli believed that Yenjin would be harmed if the attacks went on. If he could kill Yenjin and get the relic weapon and armor, Luli would be rich. The immortal's body whooshed across the sky toward Yenjin. Yenjin looked at the immortal's body with a cold smile. The relic weapon in his hand glowed. There seemed to be a mysterious soul flowing in it, which was breathtaking. Sky-shattering strike, Yenjin roared. The blade of the god weapon in his hand lit up, leaving a dazzling light in the air. It was as if the blade was so sharp that it could cut open the sky. It did not feel like he was tearing apart the void. He was merely tearing open a white line in the sky. Bang! The relic weapon cracked open the void and landed on the immortal's body. With some sparks, the immortal's body was knocked back for 1,000 feet. This time, there was a faint mark on the headless neck. But it was only a slight mark. To break the skin of the immortal's body would be difficult. What level is the immortal's body at? Yenjin was taken aback. This was not an average immortal's body. Not even a mighty warrior in the divinity could be this strong. After all, a living immortal might be strong in defense, but a dead immortal would be nothing but a dead body. This was purely physical strength. Let's go. Since the immortal's body could not be destroyed, Yenjin would not waste any more time. He flew toward Luli's wicked bead. He wanted to see if he could crack the wicked bead. Whoosh! The immortal's body caught up and struck at Yenjin's back. Yenjin's relic armor glowed, but he was only smashed away for hundreds of feet. Yenjin flew on as if nothing had happened. It was as if he was just pushed. Impressive! Luli was not far away. He saw this with psychic power. He exclaimed to himself that Yenjin was indeed invincible with a relic weapon. Almost no one in the 9 realms could kill it. Even if one became a deity, it would still be difficult to kill it, right? Boom, boom, boom. The god's corpse kept catching up to Yenjin and kept attacking him. However, the god's corpse could only cause the armor to shine brightly and send Yenjin flying. Yenjin's facial expression did not change much, let alone vomiting blood. Soon, Yenjin was close to the wicked bead. He smashed at the wicked bead with his relic weapon. The wicked bead did not tremble, but there was a cyan glow. Clearly, the wicked bead had suffered a heavy blow. Terrifying! Luli checked the consumption of energy in the wicked bead. He was taken aback. This move was more powerful than 10 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm. The wicked bead could not survive for more than half a year, or even less if Yenjin went on like this. Give it a try. Luli did not fly the wicked bead away. He wanted to compete with Yenjin in patience. After all, the wicked bead could last for at least 3 months. He did not believe that Yenjin could stand 3 months of attacks from the immortal's body. Swish! Yenjin kept hacking at the wicked bead with his relic weapon. In the time for 1 breath, he could make more than 10 cuts. The wicked bead glowed and the energy was draining fast. Boom, boom, boom. The immortal's body caught up with Yenjin. He punched at Yenjin again and again, but every time, he could only push Yenjin back. Yenjin turned around and hacked at the wicked bead for more than a dozen times. Bang, bang, bang! Boom, boom, boom! The two sides were fighting back and forth. Neither wanted to give up. Every time Yenjin was smashed away, he would move closer to the wicked bead. After a dozen moves, the immortal's body would catch up and push Yenjin back again. After all, the immortal's body was a corpse. He was not flexible. He could only chase after Yenjin mechanically. He did not know any tactics. Luli could not give orders. He had to let the immortal's body attack Yenjin himself. Find a way to take the relic weapon from Yenjin. Luli gave an order to the immortal's body through spiritual link. If he could take the relic weapon, Yenjin would be like a toothless tiger. Apart from his incredible defense, he would be no different from an average warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm. Unfortunately, the immortal's body was not as smart as a living human being. He tried to grab Yenjin's relic weapon several times, but Yenjin put the relic weapon into his interspatial ring. The immortal's body just stood there like a machine. He did not know how to attack. Without a soul, the immortal's body was no different from a stone puppet. The immortal's body could only follow Luli's orders blindly. Luli had to give up after several attempts. He told the immortal's body to keep attacking Yenjin. As a result, the situation was in a stalemate. Yenjin kept striking at the wicked bead. He was like a loach dancing around in the sky. The immortal's body could only chase after Yenjin. Every time, Yenjin would make more than a dozen moves and then be smashed away by the immortal's body. Yenjin, are you tired? Do you want to take a break? Luli sent the message, hoping to undermine Yenjin's morale. He said, your attacks are too weak. At this rate, you will not be able to crack the wicked bead in 8 to 10 years. After that, will the divine imperial universe still be Yenjin? Luli could do nothing to Yenjin. He did not want Yenjin to go to the Heaven Reverse universe and kill at will. Luli had to find a way to scare Yenjin away. When Luli became an immortal, he would find a way to crack the divine imperial city and wipe out the Yen family. However, Yenjin did not mind at all. He sneered, Luli, I have lived for hundreds of years. Don't bother with your little tricks. Even 10,000 years, the divine imperial city still belongs to the Yen family. Nobody can crack it, let alone 10 years. As long as the divine imperial city stands, the divine imperial universe will never fall. Also, are you sure that your wicked bead can last for 8 to 10 years? I don't think it can last for half a year. Yenjin was a sly old fox. He picked up a hidden meaning from Luli's words. The more Luli said the wicked bead was strong, the more confident he was. Yenjin was not worried about the divine imperial city at all. The 9 universes were almost at peace now. What happened last time had weakened the 9 universes. Nobody could threaten the divine imperial universe now. Yenjin had nothing to worry about since the immortal's body could not crack his relic armor. As long as he could crack the wicked bead, he could kill Luli easily. The wicked bead could be taken and the immortal's body could be obtained as well. Yen family would have one more treasure when he took control of the immortal's body. Clearly, Yenjin was overthinking. Half a day later, seeing that Yenjin was not giving up, Luli had to leave. The wicked bead was running out of energy fast. The wicked bead was not as fast as Yenjin, but the immortal's body was much faster. Luli gave the immortal's body an order. The immortal's body stopped going after Yenjin and flew over. The immortal's body grabbed the wicked bead and spread its wings, flying into the distance with the wicked bead. Chapter 11-12. Luli told the immortal's body to take him away, but he did not go far. After all, the immortal's body could take him away at any time and Yenjin could not hurt him. He asked He to mobilize subsidiary bodies to keep an eye on Yanjun. What Yanjun said gave him a headache. This time, Yanjun was completely enraged. He wanted to go to the Heaven Reverse universe to vent his anger and at the same time, force Luli to compromise. Luli tried to come up with a solution. Words could not frighten Yanjun. His only option was to kill his way to the divine imperial universe and force Yanjun to go back so that they could not cross each other's path. The divine imperial universe was the foundation of the Yen family. If he went to the divine imperial universe and started a massacre, the Yen family would suffer a great loss. One had to know that a super clan didn't just rely on its own people. It also relied on countless clans of various sizes that it attached itself to. For example, of the 4 semi-god realm warriors that Yanjun brought with him, 2 were from affiliated families. But there was a problem. It would take Yanjun 3 to 5 days to break down the spatial barrier. If Luli wanted to go to the divine imperial universe, it would take him more than a dozen days or even longer. Just because he could go to the prison of gold did not mean that he could go to the divine imperial universe easily. By the time he could go to the divine imperial universe, Yanjun would have started a massacre at the Great Land. How efficient would it be for a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm to kill civilians? It would be easy for him to kill over 1,000 cities in a day. 10 days was enough for billions of people to die at the Great Land. Never mind. This is not feasible. Luli thought about it and decided not to go to the extreme. Even if he could turn the divine imperial universe into a river of blood and bodies, it would not be worthwhile. Last time, the Great Land had already suffered a great loss. If Yanjun went there and killed more innocent people, it would be Luli's fault. I have to stall. Luli thought of a way, which was to stop Yanjun from breaking down the spatial barrier. In that case, he could not go to the Heaven Reverse universe. No matter how many people Yanjun killed in the Waters region, Luli would not feel sorry. They were not human beings. Yanjun's fault was not Luli's. Yanjun flew away and stopped from time to time. Clearly, he was looking for a suitable spot to break down the spatial barrier to the Heaven Reverse universe. Along the way, he used subsidiary bodies were all killed. He must not want Luli to know where he was. However, he had too many subsidiary bodies, and wherever a subsidiary body was killed, it meant that she had gone there, and her whereabouts could be easily tracked. Luli followed them in the wicked bead. Though he was not as fast as Yanjun and the distance between them was growing, Luli did not mind. Yanjun wanted to break through the barrier between worlds, but it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. After flying for half a day, Yanjun stopped. He should have found a suitable spot. He took out his divine weapon and started to attack a space. According to Hiyu's investigation, Yanjun's attack was similar to Chen Tianqian's. He kept bombarding the space, tearing it apart. He must be trying to break through the space barrier. Luli was not in a hurry when he heard the news. He wanted Yanjun to be busy for a while, and then he would go and disrupt his plan later, so that all his previous efforts would be in vain. Luli flew the wicked bead over slowly. It took him 10 hours to arrive at the place. He let out the immortal's body and controlled it to fly forward in a straight line. Luli himself followed in the wicked bead. Boom, boom, boom. Soon, Luli heard some noises of explosion. Luli used psychic power to check on Yanjun. Yanjun was blasting at a space. It was a magnificent scene. Immortal's body, go and attack him. Luli ordered. The immortal's body dashed over in a blur. Soon, he was near Yanjun. What? When Luli used psychic power to check, Yanjun had already noticed it. When he looked over, he saw the immortal's body approaching quickly. Yanjun was fuming with rage. To break down the spatial barrier, he had to blast at the space constantly. If he stopped, the space would close up automatically. In that case, the several hours he had spent would be wasted. Boom! The immortal's body was fast. While Yen Zhen was distracted, the immortal's body had already landed a punch on him. Yen Zhen was smashed away for hundreds of feet. Lu Li F***CKU. Yen Zhen was hundreds of years old. It was rare for him to swear. This time, however, he could not hold back his anger. He watched as the space closed up quickly, but there was nothing he could do. The immortal's body was coming again. Given his speed, Yen Zhen could not dodge. He swung the relic weapon and hacked at the immortal's body. Boom! The immortal's body was knocked back for hundreds of feet. At the same time, Yen Zhen was knocked back by the counterforce. The black hole he created was closing up quickly. Boom, boom, boom. The immortal's body kept coming. Yen Zhen did not have the time to blast at the black hole. He could only watch as the black hole disappeared. Yen Zhen had wasted 10 hours. Okay, immortal's body, we are done. Let's go. Lu Li's voice came from the distance. Yen Zhen was so angry that he almost spat out blood. Yen Zhen wanted to go after Lu Li, but the immortal's body flew away quickly and vanished into the distance with the wicked bead. Lu Li, Yen Zhen cursed, but there was nothing he could do. He could only smash a nearby mountain into pieces. He stood in the air for a while. His head was aching. He realized that he was in a difficult position. 4 semi-god realm warriors had died, and the Yen family had suffered a great loss. Yen Zhen could not vent his anger. If he were to leave like this, he would not be able to forgive himself. When he returned to the divine imperial universe, he and the Yen family would be disgraced, not to mention that he would not be able to forgive himself. Last time, when the families made a scene in the divine imperial universe, the Yen family would come again. What else could Yen Zhen do if he did not leave? Every time Yen Zhen tried to break down spatial barriers, Lu Li would send the immortal's body to make trouble, which would make Yen Zhen's previous efforts go to waste. Yen Zhen could not get back at Lu Li if he could not go to the Heaven Reverse Universe. At the same time, he could not make Lu Li yield. Was he going to stay in the Waters region forever? Or was he going to kill everyone in the Waters region? The thing was, they were not Lu Li's people. Killing them all would not hurt Lu Li one bit. After much deliberation, Yen Zhen decided to go to the Heaven Reverse Universe. First, he flew to the distance. After flying for tens of millions of miles, he found a spot and stopped. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He kept releasing Xian energy to kill all of He Yu's subsidiary bodies nearby. His psychic power was strong. He could detect those subsidiary bodies easily. Standing on a mountain, Yen Zhen took out many formation stones and placed them in the mountains nearby. In a moment, a formation of illusion appeared out of nowhere. The view changed. From the distance, Yen Zhen seemed to have vanished into thin air. Yen Zhen was still not satisfied with the formation of illusion. He took out some animal bones with strange patterns. Those were not regular animal bones. They were the bones of mythical beasts given by Yen Tiangang. The bones had strange powers and could be used to build a powerful formation. But he had used the animal bones many times. The more he used, the greater the loss. He did not want to use them unless it was absolutely necessary. Yen Zhen had run out of options. If the formation could last a few days, he could go to the Heaven Reverse Universe. By then, Lu Li would be the one to worry. Chapter 11-13. All of a sudden? Lu Li was taken aback by He Yu's information. How could a person vanish for no reason? He must have used some skills to teleport to other places or used some other skills or inhibition formations to hide. Lu Li asked He Yu about the recent situation and ordered, "Move your subsidiary bodies to that area. Make sure that no corner is left out." Okay. He Yu mobilized her subsidiary bodies at once, while Lu Li flew over in the wicked bead. Yen Zhen had only cleared the subsidiary bodies within a radius of hundreds of miles. Soon, He Yu sent many subsidiary bodies over. Soon, she noticed something was wrong. He said after a while. He must have set up a high-level formation of illusion. There is another formation inside that my subsidiary bodies cannot go in. Formation? Luli was alarmed. Formations were the most complicated and profound things. If it was just the Yen family's formation, it would not be a problem. What he was afraid of was the formation passed down by Yen Tiangang. Send a message to Kumang. Tell him to come to the waters region at once, Luli said. If he could not crack the formation, he could ask Kumang to find a way. It would take some time for Kumang to come and it might be too late. But it was always good to be prepared. The wicked bead flew over quickly. A moment later, He reported again, Yen Zhen is in there. The space is trembling. I think the formation must have broken down the spatial barrier. Sure. Luli was relieved. As long as Yen Zhen did not go missing for no reason, everything would be fine. He only needed to figure out a way to crack the formation. Without the protection of the formation, Yen Zhen could not break down the spatial barrier and enter the heaven reverse universe. A distance of tens of millions of miles was not a long distance. Luli arrived in a couple of hours. He used psychic power at once. After a while, he noticed some slight fluctuation of illusion. Formations of illusion were easy to crack. The difficulty lay in the formation inside. Since Yen Zhen had set up a formation, he would not waste his efforts. The formation must be impressive. Immortal's body out. Luli let the immortal's body out and then he himself went out with 100 stone golems. Dig up this mountain for me. Luli ordered the stone golems. 100 stone golems dashed down and began to blast at the mountain. Luli did not know how to crack the formation with skills. He had to resort to the simplest method, to crack the formation with force. The illusion array itself had no defensive power. As long as this huge mountain range was flattened, the array stones would naturally be destroyed and the illusion array would be broken. Boom, boom, boom. The stone man didn't know any divine powers or secret techniques, so he could only use the most violent force to bombard the mountain range. Each of the stone golems was as powerful as a semi-god realm cultivator. How could a normal mountain withstand them? In the blink of an eye, countless mountain peaks were blasted to the point of collapse, and large pits were smashed into the ground. Rumbling sounds rang out incessantly. Smoke and dust swept up like earth dragons. It was a shocking scene. It didn't take too long. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the mountain range below flashed and the illusion array disappeared. It was likely that some of the array stones had been destroyed and the illusion array couldn't hold on any longer. Soon, Luli noticed a mountain with psychic power which was enveloped by a dark sphere of light. The inside of the sphere of light was pitch black and nothing could be seen. All Chun Feng could sense was the intense spatial fluctuations coming from within. There was a faint glow and runes glistening on the black sphere of light. Needless to say, this formation was powerful. Luli frowned, feeling the situation was getting tricky. Stone golems, hit the black shield. Luli ordered the stone golems to have a go. 100 stone golems turned into black lights and rushed forward, attacking the black light barrier from all directions. Boom, 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 muffled noises were heard. That black shield didn't seem to tremble. Only the faintly discernible golden runes were glowing. What worried Luli the most had happened. This formation was not created by the Yen family. It was passed down from the divinity by Yen Tiangang. It was a formation from the divinity. Immortal's body go. Luli ordered the immortal's body. The immortal's body's attack was stronger than the 100 stone golems put together. If the immortal's body could not crack the formation, then it would be a serious matter. Whoosh! The immortal's body spread his wings and flew over. A stone golem was in his way. The immortal's body did not know how to be flexible. He smashed into the stone golem and smashed it away. Swish! When he was close to the shield, The immortal's body swung his arm and then punched forward. There was no glow on his golden fist. However, the speed was so fast that it created a deafening noise. Bang! With a muffled sound, the entire shield glowed in a dark light. All the faintly discernible golden runes came out and wandered around on the black shield. The runes exuded an indescribable aura, giving off a mysterious and unpredictable feeling. It really is a formation from the divinity. Luli used psychic power to check. The shield only trembled slightly. His mind was weighed down. The immortal's body could crush a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm in one punch. How come he could not crack a formation? This formation must have been passed down by Yen Tiangang. Go on. What else could Luli do when the immortal's body could not crack it? He had to ask the immortal's body and the stone golems to keep attacking. Any formation would require energy. 100 stone golems would be equivalent to 100 semi-god realm warriors. Together with the immortal's body, who was powerful, any formation from the divinity should be cracked. Boom, 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 boom. The immortal's body and the stone golems kept attacking. Luli used psychic power to check if the black shield was going to crack. Unfortunately, it had been 6 hours. Not only was the black shield not cracked, but there was no change. When the stone golems attacked, the golden runes would only glow. When the immortal's body attacked, the shield would tremble. Nothing had changed. This is getting out of hand. As time went on, Luli became more and more anxious. Inside the shield, Yanzhen had been attacking the space. In a few days, once the spatial tunnel was formed and he arrived at the Heaven Reverse Universe, it would be a disaster for the Heaven Reverse Universe. Judging by Yanzhen's attitude, he would not talk about anything when he arrived at the Heaven Reverse Universe. He would kill to vent his anger first. I should have relocated all the civilians of the Heaven Reverse Universe to the prison of wood. Luli regretted. He had thought about this before, but it was too troublesome. Many civilians were not warriors. Teleportation formations could not be used continuously. What was more, the temperature in the inferno was high. Some of the elderly and children might not be able to stand it. What was more, Luli had the immortal's body. Killing warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm was as easy as slaughtering livestock. Therefore, Luli did not worry too much. Kumang could not come over any time soon. Luli could not integrate the map of fundamental principle for several days. The immortal's body was only so strong. For a moment, Luli did not know what to do. Cultivate. Luli forced himself to calm down. After all, the immortal's body and the stone golems could keep attacking without his control. It was pointless for him to stay and watch. You would be fine. Chapter 11:14. The beast bones formed by the formation came from a powerful beast in the divinity. After the beast bones died, a mighty warrior in the divinity took control of them and used them to build a strong defensive formation. Yen Tiangang wanted to use the immortal's bone for himself. Later on, he acquired an even more powerful relic. Therefore, he gave the divine imperial city and the immortal's bone to Yen Tiangang at a great cost. Over the course of history, the immortal's bone had helped many talented disciples of the Yen family survive several disasters. Though the energy in the immortal's bone was almost depleted, the immortal's bone had made a great contribution. In 3 days, the 100 stone golems and the immortal's body kept attacking. Even the defensive formation of the demon-slaying city should have been cracked. Still, there was no sign of the formation cracking. Luli had been cultivating for 3 days without waking up. He sensed that the space inside the black shield was trembling more violently. She knew that the spatial passageway was about to take shape. She sighed. She did not know what Luli was doing, but it was impossible for him to make such rapid progress in 3 days. This was not a child's play. The higher one's realm was, the harder it was to make progress. Boom! Half a day later, there came a muffled sound from inside the black shield. Then, the trembling in space disappeared. Nothing happened inside. Finally, you could not stand it anymore. She pushed Lu Li. What is it? For Lu Li, who was cultivating 3.5 days, felt like an instant. He opened his eyes all of a sudden. He said bitterly, Lord, Yen Zhen must have opened up the spatial passageway. A glint of coldness rose in Lu Li's eyes. He used psychic power to check. There was no more movement inside the shield. Yen Zhen must have made it. Buzzing, not long afterward, the black shield suddenly glared. Then, the dark air disappeared and all the dark air surged into the strange beast bones. Yen Zhen grabbed the beast bones and dashed into a black hole. Oh no! Lu Li trembled at this. Yen Zhen had entered the Heaven Reverse universe, but he had gained nothing in the 3.5 days. It was not easy to integrate the map of fundamental principle. If he was unlucky, he might not be able to do it in 3 or 3 decades, let alone 3 days. The black shield was gone. The immortal's body and the stone golems were floating in the air. Lu Li's order was to attack the black shield. Now that the shield was broken, they naturally stopped. Go! Without much time to think, Lu Li dashed out of the wicked bead. He put away the stone golems and went back into the wicked bead. The immortal's body took the bead and dashed into the black hole. After a glare, Lu Li used psychic power to check at once. His face grew cold. Because he found that he wasn't in the Eastern Ocean Land, but the divine Great Land Yunzhou. Lu Li once heard from Chen Tianxian that when it came to breaking down spatial barriers, different points could lead to different places. However, he didn't expect that Yen Zhen would be so lucky to arrive at Yunzhou of the divine Great Land. Lu Li had thought that after Yen Zhen went to the eastern land of oceans, she would have to go to the demon-slaying city, and then the Great Land. It would take time to break through the spatial barrier twice in a row. He still had time to think of a solution. Now, Yen Zhen came directly to the divine Great Land. Although it was Yunzhou, it was not the most populated central plains, but it was still a big problem. Boom! From the distance came a shocking noise. Lu Li used psychic power to check and happened to see dust rising from a city. The city at the peak of the mountain collapsed with a loud bang, and the entire huge mountain fell to the ground with a loud bang. Ah! There were some human warriors around the mountain. They screamed in terror when they saw the mountain collapsing and the city being destroyed. Because in that city were their clans, their relatives, and now all of them had been killed. Devil, how dare you massacre a city? I will kill you. Who are you? How dare you massacre a city at the Clouds Plains? When Grand Master Lu learns about this, you will die for sure. Let's fight against this devil. Grand Master Lu will avenge us even if we die. Several people shouted. Several Fate Wheel Realm warriors shouted and flew up to the sky on their fate wheels. Ha ha ha! In the distance there was a small dot in purple armor. He was insufferably arrogant. His chi and energy were so strong that the several Fate Wheel Realm warriors on the ground trembled. Pointing to Lu Li's direction, he said, Your Grand Master Lu is over there. Tell him to come and kill me. Ha ha ha! He waved his sleeve and a gust of wind blew over. The several Fate Wheel Realm warriors were smashed away and rolled towards Lu Li. Boom! Before the Fate Wheel Realm warriors could reach Lu Li, they were smashed to the ground. All of them had been jolted to death. Their eyes were wide open, and their eyes were filled with hatred and fear. Whoosh! Lu Li could not sit still any longer. He flew the wicked bead toward Yen Zhen and shouted, Yen Zhen, you are the family patriarch of the most powerful family in the 9 universes, the family patriarch of the Yen family, the most powerful warrior in the 9 universes. How shameless can you be to kill these lowly civilians? Yen Zhen sneered. His facial expression did not change. He had lived for hundreds of years. How shrewd he was. How could a few words from Luli affect his mind? Looking at the wicked bead that was getting closer, Yanjun sneered and said, Luli, in this world, only the strong are respected. Dignity is not given, but earned with one's own fists. So what if the world laughs at us? If anyone dares to laugh at us, just kill them. History is always rewritten by the victors. What is more, I never pay attention to this. Follow me and see how I kill all the civilians of the Heaven Reverse universe. Whoosh, with that said, Yanjun said nothing more to Luli. He flew into the distance in a blur. Luli turned pale. While telling the immortal's body to go after Yanjun with the wicked bead, he said to He-Yu, send a message to nearby cities and evacuate the people. Also, send a message to my great-grandpa. Tell him to relocate human disciples to the deserted world. Now. This time, Luli was panicking. He was scared. His heart was trembling at the thought of the few humans that died in front of him. They were alive a moment ago, but in the blink of an eye they had become corpses. The tens of thousands of civilians in that small city were living a good life. Many families were living in harmony. Many children were growing up happily. The elderly were enjoying their old age. But all of a sudden, they suffered an unexpected misfortune. They were killed in an instant, and not even their bodies were left behind. Yanjun was fast. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, he had covered thousands of miles. Ahead of him was a medium-sized city. The city master of that city must have received the message from He-Yu's subsidiary body and had begun to evacuate the people in the city. He-Yu's subsidiary body could not speak, but she could write. All the city masters had received the order. The order from He-Yu's subsidiary body was Luli's order and must be carried out at once. Therefore, as soon as He-Yu gave the order, the city master organized everyone in the city to flee to all directions. However, there were too many civilians in the city. Many of them were civilians, and they could not bear to part with their valuables and belongings. Yanjun was fast. Half of the people were still in the city. Bang, bang, bang. The immortal's body chased after Yanjun. Unfortunately, Yanjun had the relic armor. No matter how hard the immortal's body attacked, the armor could not be cracked. Yanjun didn't even bother to attack the immortal's body. He flew all the way to the city. Looking at the fleeing crowd, Yanjun laughed. Luli, take a good look. See how your people are implicated and die because of you. Swish, swish, Yanjun did not use any powerful skills. He just generated a hand with a diameter of more than 1,000 feet and smashed it down. Boom, boom, boom. The hand smashed down with a force that could destroy heaven and earth. All the humans in it were smashed into pieces. Who could survive an attack from a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm? It was as if a group of ants were running away and a man was stepping on them. Dozens of hands smashed down. The city had turned into hell on earth. Chapter 11:15. This was a middle-sized city with a population of over 400,000. Including the army, the total population was about 500,000. Over 200,000 people were left in the city, and over 200,000 people were fleeing outside the city. Yanjun casually threw out some giant palm silhouettes, and the city was flattened. Over half of those who were fleeing outside the city were killed as well. In other words, in such a short time, 400,000 people were killed under Luli's nose. They were smashed into pieces and buried underground. In front of Luli, the ground was covered with shocking handprints that were hundreds of feet deep into the ground. The ground was tainted red with blood. Broken limbs and internal organs were everywhere. It was no different from hell. Phew, phew. Luli's breaths were short. His eyes were turning red. Veins were popping out on his face. He was filled with killing intent. He seemed to have turned into a ferocious beast. Last time when warriors of the 9 universes invaded, tens of millions died at the Great Land. But none of them died in front of Luli. They were just numbers, not something that could be directly felt. Luli had seen death before. He had been through many battles and witnessed the death of many warriors. That being said, those were all warriors. Few were civilians. Now, many unarmed civilians could only watch helplessly as they were smashed to death. While Luli saw a kid of 3 or 4 years old next to a pit. His mother was killed trying to protect him. At the moment, the kid was grabbing his mother, whose face was covered in blood, and crying. He wiped his tears while crying. His own face was covered in blood as well. The Almighty Emperor of Heaven reverse, please open your eyes. Your people are suffering. Please punish this demon and kill him. The Great Grand Master Lu, where are you? Please help your people. Some of the surviving old warriors knelt on the ground and prayed to the north in fear. They were hunched over, trembling. Their faces were filled with fear and despair. They were not warriors. There was nothing they could do except pray and wait for death. Emperor of Heaven reverse could not hear their prayers. Even if he could, there was nothing he could do. Emperor of Heaven reverse could not even protect himself. What could he do even if he could? Luli, the spokesperson of Emperor of Heaven reverse, the Grand Master of the Demon-Slaying Hall, was here. However, just like those old men, there was nothing he could do. He could only watch as his people were being slaughtered wantonly by Yanjun. Rush out? There was no meaning to it other than throwing away one's life. Would Yanjun spare the Heaven Reverse universe even if he died? Last time, so many warriors of the 9 universes had passed away. If Luli were to die, more warriors would come soon. Destroy the Heaven Reverse universe and avenge the warriors of the 9 universes? Ka. Luli gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He was like a beast that was tied up. One wrong move and he might break free from the chains, roaring and rushing out. Sir, calm down, he said. If Luli died, she would not survive either. Her interests were closely related to Luli. Naturally, she didn't want Luli to die. Bang! Luli smashed his hands on the ground and knelt down. His head was down and his face was full of remorse and guilt. If it were not for him, why would the 9 universes pay attention to the Heaven Reverse universe? Why would warriors of the 9 universes come to the Heaven Reverse universe? Why would so many civilians die? Ha! Luli heard a deafening laugh. Clearly, the laughter was amplified by Xian energy so that it could be heard from an area with a radius of hundreds of miles. Yanjun shouted, Luli, you coward! Your people are being slaughtered, and you can only hide in the wicked bead like a coward. Can't you hear that your people are praying to you? Ha, Luli, just wait and see. I will wipe out the entire human race of the Heaven Reverse universe. Whoosh. With that said, Yanjun paid no more attention to Luli and the immortal's body. Even though the immortal's body was chasing after him, Yanjun paid no attention and flew into the distance. This time, Luli did not go after Yanjun in the wicked bead. He still knelt in the wicked bead in a daze. His hair was disheveled and his eyes were red. His face was ferocious, like that of a ghost. He stood next to him, afraid to go closer for fear that she would be killed by Luli in a fit of rage. She did not dare to say anything. She had been with Luli for some time and had some understanding of his character. Luli's realm was high, but he was not old. He was not as insensitive as those older warriors. Instead, he valued friendship and was courageous. He was the most powerful warrior of the Heaven Reverse universe, the Grand Master of the Demon-Slaying Hall. He must have regarded all humans as his people. Now, his people were being killed one by one. Yet, he could not fight back. There was nothing he could do. He could only kneel here, blaming himself and acting like a coward. It was not hard to imagine how painful he was. Boom! In the time for dozens of breaths, he heard a loud noise coming from the distance. He had subsidiary bodies nearby. She could see what was going on. There was a small city over there. Needless to say, that city was destroyed and tens of thousands of people were killed. What to do? What to do? What to do? Luli felt his mind was about to explode. As time went on, more and more people would die. His mind was burning with anxiety. He was occupied by anger and grievance. It was as if he could not think at this moment. The only thing on his mind was what to do. Go out? Then he would have to die. The Heaven Reverse Universe could not be saved. If he did not go out, the cities of the Heaven Reverse Universe would be destroyed one by one. More and more people would be killed. Those people were innocent. They had hands and feet, flesh and blood. They could think, they had families and friends. They were living people. They should be living a comfortable and happy life. But now they were deprived of the right to live innocently. Calm down, calm down. Luli rubbed his face to force himself to calm down. The more confused he was, the worse the situation would be. He thought about it for a moment and flew away in the wicked bead. After flying for a short while, he saw a small city that had collapsed in front of him. This small city had been blasted to the point that not a single castle was intact. Broken limbs were everywhere in the city. Tens of thousands of people were killed. Only a few hundred were lucky enough to survive. Or maybe Yen Zhen left them alive on purpose. The few hundred were either screaming in pain or crying with their families' bodies in their arms. Luli used psychic power to check. Once again, he felt pain in his heart. He covered his chest, feeling suffocated. He almost spat out some blood. He could not bear to look. He used psychic power to check and flew into the distance at once. He pointed him in the right direction. Yanjin was fast. That being said, he would stop from time to kill. He would not let go of any tribes he passed by. He would stop and slap at them. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, Luli finally caught up with Yanjin. Along the way, Luli saw 4 tribes and a small city being massacred. At the moment, Yanjin was attacking a big city. Chapter 11:16. Boom, boom, boom. After Yanjin arrived, he did not say a single word. Instead, he sent out a huge palm strike towards the city gate. Outside the city, many civilians were fleeing. They didn't have any martial arts. They couldn't even run at a high speed, let alone fly. There were so many people that they had to swarm out in rows. The city gate was only so big. They couldn't rush out at once. Therefore, when the huge hand with a diameter of more than 1,000 feet smashed down, the thousands of people squeezed together were smashed into pieces. The horrifying energy and momentum smashed away and killed many people nearby. The city was in a mess. Many people were crying and screaming, running around like sheep being attacked by hungry wolves. Many soldiers and martial artists in the city flew out and surrounded Yanjin. The city had a large army and some powerful warriors. Of course, the most powerful one was at the human sovereign realm. There were some at the noble lord realm and many at the eternal realm. They received Hiyu's message and learned that there was an invasion. Therefore, they sent away the civilians and young disciples. That being said, the city was where the branch of the Jackal family settled down. Therefore, many patriarchs stayed and were ready to defend the city. What realm was Yanjin at? Those at the Eternal Realm or the Noble Lord Realm didn't know. Not even the only human sovereign realm warrior in the city could sense it. That being said, no matter how powerful the warrior was, the patriarchs were ready to risk their lives and die with the city when he was here to destroy their city and kill their disciples. Yanjin snorted when he saw the swarm of warriors flying toward him. He waved his hands, and the Xianqi of heaven and earth swarmed toward him from all directions. Countless long arrows formed by Xianqi were condensed in front of him. He waved his hand and shouted, "Go!" Whoosh whoosh. Tens of thousands of arrows flew out, covering the sky and covering the earth, enveloping the entire space in front of them. Moreover, their speed was too fast. The warriors in front of them could not dodge at all. Bang, bang, bang. Unsurprisingly, the Xian energy attack of a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm was overwhelming. Even a group of Earth Immortal Realm warriors could be killed, not to mention the fact that the most powerful ones were at the human sovereign realm. Many warriors were hit by the Xian energy arrows in midair and exploded into a mist of blood like fireworks. Even the warrior at the human sovereign realm was easily killed. Myriad swords formation, descend. Yan Zhen waved his hands and once again gathered countless heaven and earth Xian Qi, forming many divine weapons in midair. Jiang Yi's hands pressed downwards as countless long swords rained down like a torrential downpour, covering a radius of several kilometers. Below them were densely packed commoners who were fleeing for their lives. Stop! Lu Li happened to see this when he flew over. He yelled in anger. 10,000 swords descended, and the people below were pierced through. Even though the scene was shocking, it was even more shocking. Ha ha ha! Yan Zhen laughed out loud, but he did not stop. Once again, he began to generate more Xian energy swords. Looking at the wicked bead in a mocking manner, Yan Zhen said, "Impatient? Lu Li, this is just the beginning. Don't worry. Soon, you will see dead bodies everywhere in the cities. The entire heaven reverse universe will be filled with the stench of corpses. The earth will be dyed red with blood, the rivers will be blood red, and corpses will be strewn everywhere. That scene will definitely be spectacular." Phew, phew. Taking a deep breath, Lu Li forced himself to calm down and said, "Yan Zhen, we can talk. Killing these low-level civilians will only make you more sinful. It will not bring you any practical benefit." "Talk?" Yan Zhen snorted. "I wanted to talk to you before. What did you do? Do you know the pain I felt when you killed Brother Six and the others? You have no idea. So, I will let you have a good taste of it." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With that said, Yan Zhen pressed his hand down. The Xian energy swords rained down like rain. Not far away, a group of people were shrouded by the sword. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions were heard everywhere. Every Xian energy sword could cause an explosion in a small area. The civilians nearby could not stand such a horrifying explosion. They died one after another. Go! Yan Zhen condensed a few more large palms and slammed them towards the city in front of them. Castle after castle was destroyed, and countless residents were buried alive. The city in front of them once again became a purgatory. Bang, bang, bang. The immortal's body was still chasing after Yan Zhen. But Yan Zhen treated the immortal's body as a fly. Every time, the immortal's body would only be smashed away for hundreds of feet. "Yan Zhen," Lu Li bellowed, "fine. Go ahead and kill them. Do whatever you want. I will go to the prison of gold from the purgatory of primordial chaos, and then to the divine imperial universe. Let's see who can kill faster, you or me. If I cannot kill all the civilians of the divine imperial universe, I will change my surname to Yan." Yan Zhen was surprised. Soon, he sneered and said, "Go, go. But you must be able to enter the divine imperial universe." Ha ha ha. Lu Li snorted. "Do you think I cannot go to the divine imperial universe? There are 3 entrances connecting the divine imperial universe to the prison of gold, right? 2 are public and 1 is hidden? You can seal off all 3 entrances. Do you believe that I can find someone to break down spatial barriers?" Ha ha ha. Yan Zhen laughed. "You are talking about Chen Tianxian. Do you think I don't know?" Chen Tianxian is your soul slave, isn't he? I can tell you clearly that I have reinforced the 3 entrances with formations. It will take Chen Tianxian at least 10 years to break them down. If you don't believe me, go ahead and try. What? Lu Li was shocked. Chen Tianxian's story was a secret. How did Yan Zhen know? Could it be that Jun Hongya heard something before he left? 10 years? Lu Li felt helpless. It would take Chen Tianxian 10 years to break down spatial barriers. Even if nothing happened, Chen Tianxian would be exhausted to death, not to mention that he might change his mind in the middle of the journey. Attacking the same place for 10 years without stopping or all the previous efforts would be in vain. Lu Li felt frustrated just thinking about it. Ha ha ha. Yanjun laughed out loud. While he was killing, he said delightedly, Lu Li, do you really think that the divine imperial universe has been in the hands of the Yen family for 1,000,000 years and that we have nothing to rely on? You have underestimated the Yen family. Since I dared to come to the Heaven Reverse Universe in person, I have thought of many ways to retreat and I have made preparations. So, if you want to go to the Divine Imperial Universe, go ahead. You can play and I will kill. Ha 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 boom boom boom. Yanjun laughed heartily as he slaughtered his enemies without any scruples. In the Waters region, Lu Li killed 4 semi-god realm warriors of the Yen family. Yanjun was filled with agony. Finally, he could vent some of his anger. The city had a population of 2 million. Some had escaped and some had been sent away. Still, there were at least 1.5 million left. Half of the 1 million had been killed or injured by Yanjun. Witnessing the death of his people, Lu Li bellowed in rage from inside the wicked bead. His bellows were filled with anger, frustration, and sorrow. His eyes were redder and redder, and the killing intent was growing stronger. Chapter 11:17. Soon, a large city was reduced to ruins. More than half of the 1 million people were killed, and the remaining people either hid nearby or fled in different directions. Yanjun was not in the mood to go after them one by one. He flew into the distance, showing no intention to negotiate with Lu Li. The Great Land had a large population. A conservative estimate would be at least several trillion. Therefore, Yanjun planned to kill hundreds of millions to vent his anger before he negotiated with Lu Li. If Lu Li was unwilling to negotiate, then Yanjun would not mind wiping out the entire Great Land. Whoosh! The immortal's body flew away. Lu Li followed in the wicked bead in a daze. He was still kneeling on the ground. His hair was disheveled and his eyes were bloodshot. His face was filled with helplessness and grievance. He had reached the breaking point. He did not even have the courage to use psychic power, because he couldn't bear to see the corpses all over the ground. He couldn't bear to see those innocent children being strangled. He couldn't bear to see those people wailing as they hugged the corpses of their loved ones. He couldn't bear to see those injured elders howling in pain. The wicked bead was much slower than Yanjun. Soon, Yanjun left Lu Li behind. After flying for the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he once again saw small cities that had been destroyed and corpses littered the ground. What should I do? What should I do? Lu Li grabbed his hair and kept asking himself. For every hour that passed, hundreds of thousands of people would die. The Clouds Plains was densely populated with tribes and cities. Yanjun's speed of flying and killing was too fast. I am the one who harmed them. I am the Grand Master of the demon-slaying hall of the Heaven Reverse Universe. Not only did I fail to protect them, but I have also implicated them. They should not die. I am the one who should die. This thought crossed Lu Li's mind. For several times, he almost dashed out to fight Yanjun to the death. But reason stopped him. 3 hours later, the wicked bead arrived at a city. When Lu Li saw that Yanjun was turning the city into ruins and was about to turn 2 to 3 million people into corpses, he could not sit still anymore. He yelled, Yanjun, stop. Let's talk. You want the wicked bead? Sure. Lu Li could not stand it anymore. The wicked bead was precious, but compared to the lives of the innocent civilians, it was just a piece of treasure. If the treasures were lost, they could think of a way to get them back. However, these people could not be resurrected after they died. Yen Zhen was still in the middle of his slaughter. Hearing Lu Li's words, he stopped and said in a mocking tone, "What? Can't take it any more? How did you get to where you are today with such a weak mentality? How many people had died? All right, since you are so sensible, I will do you a favor and hand over the wicked bead. I will go back to the divine imperial universe at once. I will not kill another person of the heaven reverse universe." Lu Li wanted to compromise, but he was not stupid enough to hand over the wicked bead at once. He said coldly, "No. You go back to the waters region, no, to a place near the divine imperial universe. I will go with you. I will give you the wicked bead then. What if you take the wicked bead and continue your slaughter?" Yen Zhen smiled faintly. After that, he condensed a huge palm and slammed it down. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Many castles in the city collapsed. Tens of thousands of humans were killed in an instant. He looked at Lu Li with a sneer and said, "Lu Li, don't talk terms with me. You don't have the right. You have no choice. Are you going to give it to me or not? Just say the word." With that said, Yen Zhen generated another palm, ready to slam down at any time. Lu Li closed his eyes in pain and yelled, "Stop! I will give you the wicked bead." "You cannot." From the distance came an angry shout. Then, from the north came several people. At the front was an old acquaintance of Lu Li, Hu Lang. This area was under the influence of the Silver Wolf Mountain. The Silver Wolf Mountain was Hu Lang's territory. Many cities here belonged to the Hu family. Hu Lang had received news that powerful warriors were slaughtering his family people. Though he knew he could not stop them, he still had to come. He had been hiding nearby. Hearing Lu Li's roar, Hu Lang could no longer sit still. He rushed out with others. Though he was heartbroken to see those people die, if Lu Li was killed by Yen Zhen because of those people giving up the wicked bead, that would not be a disaster for the Clouds Plains, but for the entire Heaven Reverse universe. Hu Lang was Lu Ling's sole slave. Even though she was nowhere to be found, she was still his master. Therefore, Hu Lang had always regarded Lu Li as his master. What was more, Lu Li had helped the human race survive many disasters. The Heaven Reverse universe could live without people of the Clouds Plains, but not without Lu Li. Hu Lang flew over with several powerful warriors of his family. He shouted, "Young master, you cannot give us the wicked bead. If he wants to kill us, then let him do it. It doesn't matter if we die, but you cannot suffer any loss. Otherwise, the Heaven Reverse universe will be doomed. Brothers, let's fight this demon to the death. Let's fight this demon to the death." Hu Lang flew over with several human sovereign realm warriors. All of them shouted at the top of their lungs. Their voices were loud enough to be heard in an area with a radius of 30 miles. Many people in the city felt their eardrums hurt. Whoosh 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 in the city, warriors and warriors were in a mess. However, somehow they were relieved when they saw Hu Lang. Hu Lang was the master of the Silver Wolf Mountain, the overlord of this area. Fight! Many warriors shouted at the same time. They stopped running and flew up. In their eyes, they were ready to die. Hu Lang's words reminded them that they could not let Lu Li fall into danger because of them. It would be a great loss for the Heaven Reverse universe if Lu Li died. Yen Zhen snorted. He generated tens of thousands of Xian energy arrows. With a wave of his hand, the transparent arrows flew out and pierced the warriors to death. Bang bang bang! In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of soldiers had been killed. However, the soldiers and martial artists below and in the vicinity continued to charge up endlessly. Clearly, they were here to court death. They didn't want Lu Li to be threatened by Yen Zhen because of them. Therefore, they would rather die. No, 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 Lu Li sensed with psychic power that one by one turned into a mist of blood and exploded in midair. Looking at the determined eyes and the determined faces, Lu Li felt his heart was bleeding. He was consumed by rage. He felt his soul was about to explode. All of a sudden, Luli stopped kneeling. He stood up and bellowed into the sky. His messy white hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes turned blood red. The killing intent around him was so intense that He felt suffocated. At that moment, He felt that Luli was no longer the gentle young man or the handsome young man. Instead, he had turned into a killer, a demon from hell. Buzzing, Luli dashed out from the wicked bead. He unsheathed cold blade and the dragon armor appeared. He was filled with killing intent. His blood-red eyes were filled with coldness and killing intent. One look at him would make people tremble with fear. Charge, charge, charge. Die, die, die. Luli bellowed and dashed on with cold blade in his hand. He could think of nothing else. All he could see was Yanjun. His soul was occupied by one thought. Chapter 11:18. What? As soon as Luli came out, he caught many people's attention. Hu Lang had reached the Earth Immortal Realm, and he had a quasi-relic armor. Even though he was smashed away by Yanjun and was badly injured, he was not killed right away. When Hu Lang saw Luli, he yelled in shock, "Young master, don't be rash." Some human sovereign realm warriors were taken aback as well. They did not know many things, but they believed Luli was not a match for Yanjun. Otherwise, he would not have allowed Yanjun to kill so many warriors and would even give up the wicked bead. When Luli came out, he seemed to have lost his mind. Clearly, Luli had come out to court death. Luli enjoyed a high prestige in the Heaven Reverse universe, second only to the Emperor of Heaven Reverse. He had won the respect of many. Many people were frightened to see Luli coming out to court death. Ha ha ha! Yanjun laughed. Luli was young and hot-blooded. He could not hold it in any longer. Yanjun despised Luli's foolish action. Those were just some civilians, not Luli's family or relatives. For Yanjun, it did not matter how many died. Well done, Luli. Finally, you are no longer a coward. You have guts. Yanjun did not take action at once. Instead, he continued to kill the warriors. With the relic armor, not even the immortal's body could do anything to him. How could a semi-god realm warrior like Luli pose a threat to him? Yanjun wanted to have a good time, to make Luli lose all hope and then kill him. This was the only way to vent his anger. The Yen family had lost 4 semi-god realm warriors, and was greatly weakened. Yanjun would not be satisfied if he could not get back at Luli. Die, die, die! Luli bellowed as he flew over. He seemed to have lost his mind and was in a state of rage. He ignored the shouts of Hu Lang and the others. He dashed over like a ferocious tiger and hacked at Yanjun from the distance with his saber. Swish, a shocking blade radiance whizzed out from Ling Feng's blade, tearing cracks in the sky. The cracks spread out and landed heavily on Yanjun. It was just that such a gorgeous attack was only good to look at, but it was useless. Yanjun did not even try to dodge. He let the ray of sword light come at him. His purple armor glowed, and he was not smashed away. Ha ha ha! Yanjun sneered. Luli's attack was weak. He was no different from an average semi-god realm warrior. Without the immortal's body and the wicked bead, Luli was nothing. Feather Wind Castle. Luli built the Feather Wind Castle to envelop Yanjun. There was no one around her now. They had all been killed or smashed away. Insignificant skill. After the Feather Wind Castle enveloped Yanjun, streaks of golden light came out from his neck. Following that, many golden pythons came out and slithered all over the sky. In an instant, the Feather Wind Castle collapsed. Feather Wind Weapon, profound meaning of wind beam, profound meaning of tornado, profound meaning of wind malice. Luli waved his hands. Wind gathered around him. Then, tornadoes came into being and tried to envelop Yanjun. There was an invisible wind that bound Yanjun. The tornado carried strong soul attack. Lu Li used all kinds of means, trying his best to kill Yanjun. Rising Dragon. Lu Li also used his bloodline skill. At the same time, he flew over like a breeze and approached Yanjun. He swung the cold saber and smashed at Yanjun's head. He had used the soul-shattering skill. This skill was domineering. It could send energy and soul attacks into the enemy's soul pond or bead of life, regardless of the external defense. You are at your wit's end. Are you going to fight without any clothes on? Yanjun could have destroyed the tornadoes and dodged Lu Li's attacks easily. However, he did not move. He merely cut the immortal's body in half and stood there, waiting for Lu Li to attack. He did this on purpose. He wanted to give Lu Li some hope and then let him feel hopeless. He wanted Lu Li to have a taste of helplessness and hopelessness. Bang! Lu Li's cold blade landed on the helmet on Yanjun's head. Dozens of shock waves of energy and soul surged in. What shocked Lu Li was that the dozens of shock waves of energy and soul could not penetrate into Yanjun's head. The helmet had intercepted all the energy and soul. Relic. Lu Li was disappointed and helpless. Yanjun had a relic armor. Even if Yanjun stood there and let Lu Li hack at him, Yanjun would not be harmed. As it turned out, not even the immortal's body could do anything to Yanjun, let alone Lu Li. You have stopped. Yanjun looked at Lu Li with sarcasm. Seeing that Lu Li had stopped, Yanjun sneered. Now that you have stopped, it is my turn. Whoosh. Yanjun did not use his relic weapon. He waved his arm casually. His arm suddenly grew longer and larger. He slapped Lu Li's face. Bang! Lu Li was wearing the dragon armor. Even so, he was smashed away. Blood spilled out from his mouth. Clearly, he was injured. Boom! Lu Li was smashed into a hill nearby. The hill collapsed. Rocks rolled down and buried Lu Li alive. Bang! The rocks cracked. Lu Li was smashed out. Blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. His ferocious face and blood-red eyes made him look even more frightening. He did not know what to do. He dashed toward Yanjun again in a frenzy. This time, before Lu Li could get close to Yanjun, the latter swung his relic weapon and generated a ray of sword light. Swish, like a piece of white paper, the sky was cut open by a sharp blade. A crack appeared in the sky. The ray of sword light came at Lu Li with no way to dodge. He was hit. Bang bang! The dragon armor over Lu Li's body cracked. Then, the quasi-relic armor hidden in his body emerged but was torn apart soon. In the end, his chest was covered in blood. Once again, he was smashed away. Too weak, Yanjun shook his head. Just now, he did not use any strong attacks. Lu Li's defense was good, but his realm was much lower than Yanjun's. Besides, Yanjun had a relic weapon. Lu Li's abilities were not enough. It was like the difference between a human sovereign realm warrior and a fate will realm warrior. Boom! Once again, Lu Li was smashed into the hill. Hu Lang and the others rushed over in a frenzy. Many other warriors were coming as well. They were trying to stall Yanjun so that Lu Li could have a chance to escape. If you want to die, then so be it. Yanjun swung his relic weapon at will. One warrior after another was hacked to death like scarecrows. Yanjun's subordinates did not have the strength to fight back. Usually, a casual slash of his saber could kill many soldiers. Bang! Once again, Lu Li dashed out from the hill. But this time, he did not go toward Yanjun. Instead, he stared at the scene around him. This scene was vaguely familiar to him, and it made him feel a little touched in his heart. Purgatory? Massacre? He remembered what he saw in the Slayer's blood. The ground was covered with corpses. It was a scene of purgatory. The same scene where he killed many warriors with ease. The same scene was filled with blood. The entire world was filled with killing intent. The Slayer's move? Stop killing by killing? Prove the way by killing? Settle the injustice in the world by killing? Kill, kill, kill. Lu Li's eyes were turning redder and redder. The killing intent and killing intent were growing stronger. He raised his head and bellowed like an enraged beast. At this moment, he seemed to have become a real killer. Chapter 11:19. Luli had been through many things in his life, but he had never been as angry and aggrieved as he was now. At this moment, apart from anger and murderous intent, there was nothing else in his mind. Everything had a soul and everyone was equal. Luli had always believed that everyone was equal. Everyone had the right to live. One should not deprive others of their right to live for no reason. If someone provoked you and tried to kill you, then they were enemies. It was understandable for you to kill them. Commoners and martial artists belonged to two different worlds. No matter what grudges there were between martial artists, it should not involve the commoners. Compared to warriors, civilians were the weaker ones, just like the difference between immortals and mortals. It was immoral and unreasonable to implicate mortals when immortals went to war. So many people died in front of Luli, and it was all because of him. He was the one who implicated the civilians and warriors. He was the one who killed so many people without a complete body. Many people lost their families. Many children lost their parents. Many elderly lost their children. Luli's heart felt like it was being cut by a knife and bleeding when he thought of the children wailing with their dead parents in their arms. He thought of the old people kneeling on the ground, trembling and shedding tears. Looking at the hellish scene in front of him, Luli was filled with rage and murderous intent. The image of the Slayer slaughtering demons came to his mind. He was touched. Killing to stop killing? Killing to achieve greatness? Killing to pacify injustice in the world? He murmured to himself. In the past, he had always believed that killing too many people was wrong because it would result in too much sin. Too much evil energy would lurk in one's soul and body. One would become an Asura and could never achieve greatness or become an immortal. Therefore, over the years, Luli had been restraining himself. He would not kill too many people unless they were mortal enemies. But now, he realized that maybe killing to achieve greatness could also be a way to heaven. Wasn't the Slayer a good example? The Slayer's name contained the word kill. His blood was filled with evil energy. He must have killed too many living beings. Not killing did not mean that the problem could not be solved. Killing, on the other hand, could solve all problems. As long as all the enemies were killed and all the more powerful ones were wiped out, there would be no problem. For example, Luli had slaughtered his way up and became the leader of the Heaven Reverse Universe. Now, he would have no problem in the Heaven Reverse Universe. The true meaning of the Slayer Emperor is to use killing to enter the Tao, to use killing to affirm the Tao, to use killing to settle all the injustices in the world. This is the true meaning of the Slayer Emperor's true meaning, the origin of it. Luli kept mumbling to himself. Suddenly, he closed his eyes. He had forgotten everything. All that was left in his mind was Shadi's slash. The slash that easily split the devil into two, the slash that moved the heaven and earth. Luli studied the Slayer's move for a long time and used it many times. He once swung his saber for months, trying to release the Slayer's move. However, no matter how hard he racked his brains, he could not comprehend Slayer's killer move. He had given up a few times and picked it up a few times. Finally, after the third drop of Slayer's blood was used up, he had meditated for a few months and completely gave up on learning the Slayer's killing move. At this moment, he suddenly realized that he had taken the wrong path in comprehending Slayer's killer move. This was because he had always been comprehending the form of Slayer's killer move, but he did not try to comprehend its spirit. The Slayer's killer move was not a movement, a secret skill, or a divine skill. It was a gist of trueness, a very powerful and strange gist of trueness. Without understanding the fundamental principle, without understanding the Slayer's move, without understanding the origin, without mastering the spirit, how could the form be released? It was the same with profound meanings. Without profound meanings, no matter how hard one tried to imitate, one could never master the profound meaning or release powerful skills. Finally, I understand it. I understand it. Luli felt the dark clouds were parted and he saw a clear sky. Though he had not reached a profound understanding of the Slayer's move, he had grasped the basics. It should not be a problem for him to release the Slayer's move. What was more, Luli felt that the Slayer's move he could release would be much more powerful than the one with the Slayer's blood. The Slayer's move was released with the help of the spiritual imprint in the Slayer's blood. Luli could only imitate the form. But now, he had mastered the essence. Charge! He roared like a dragon from the 9 heavens. His body soared into the sky and slowly flew forward. He was not fast, but as he moved forward, a strange energy spread out from him, and it was growing stronger. Well, many warriors that were dashing toward Yanjin stopped. They could not help but look at Luli, including Hu Lang, who was smashed away again and was badly injured. Young master, Hu Lang's gloomy eyes contracted when he saw Luli. He realized that Luli was different, as if he was a stranger. Luli was no longer the Luli he knew. He did not even look like a human anymore. Instead, he looked like a god of death, a tool born for killing. Crack, 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 many people looked at Luli with fear in their eyes. Some people's teeth were chattering. They knew that Luli would not kill them or cause them any harm. That being said, they were still afraid out of instinct. Luli's murderous intent terrified them. It was not the murderous intent of a human being. It was a very special kind of murderous intent. It was a murderous intent that could strike fear into people's hearts and make them afraid to be enemies. A glint of coldness rose in Yanjin's eyes. He had noticed something wrong with Luli. Luli had become a stranger to him. At the moment, Yanjin was scared of Luli. Yanjin felt like he was facing Yan Tiangang. Yanjin could not summon any will to fight. He was terrified out of instinct. How is this possible? Yanjin was taken aback. How could he be afraid of a warrior at the initial stage of the semi-god realm? That was strange. Anger rose up in his heart. The relic weapon in his hand glowed. He was about to cut Luli in half. However, Luli was faster than him. It seemed that Luli was flying slowly. However, while Yanjin was stunned, Luli had shortened the distance. He didn't release any flashy moves. He just lightly slashed with his saber. As Luli moved his saber, Xianqi and heaven and earth swarmed over from all sides. In an instant, the space where Yanjin was at was suppressed. What? If Yanjin was only slightly shocked just now, at this moment, a monstrous wave was set off in her heart. This was because he found that his body could not move at all. He could only watch helplessly as the saber light approached him and finally slashed at his body. It's okay. It's okay. I have a relic armor. I can stand it. Yanjin thought to himself. Luli's move did not seem to be powerful. It could not inflict any harm on him. Chapter 11:20. Luli swung his saber gently. A ray of blood-red ray of sword light whooshed out from the blade of Ling. Before the ray of sword light reached Yanjin, an extremely intense evil spirit spread out and enveloped Yanjin. Yanjin felt a ray of red light. His world was filled with red. Or to put it in another way, he had entered a world of blood. Luli was gone, the ray of sword light was gone, and the mountains and rivers around him were gone. Yanjin felt that all he could see was blood, blood that covered the sky and the ground. He was completely lost, lost in the sea of blood. Bang! A muffled noise pulled Yanjin back from the world of blood. Yanjin came back to his senses. He was shocked. Just now, he was stunned for a moment. In a fight between powerful warriors, life and death could be decided in an instant. If the enemy's attacks were sharp enough, he would have lost his life. On this thought, Yen Zhen was shocked, and then he felt lucky. He was lucky that he had a relic armor. It seemed that Lu Li's attack only knocked him away without inflicting any harm. The relic armor did not seem to be cracked. Wait, all of a sudden, Yen Zhen felt suffocation in his chest. He felt a bit of pain. He checked his body at once and was taken aback. He discovered that there was an inexplicable energy in his body. That strange energy wasn't much, but it was quietly attacking his internal organs and successfully injuring him. Oh no! Yen Zhen was panicking. His greatest reliance was the relic armor and the relic weapon. Now that Lu Li was taking action, Yen Zhen could not fight back. However, Lu Li could hurt his internal organs through the relic armor, and it was a strange energy that Yen Zhen could not seem to resolve. In other words, at this rate, Yen Zhen's injuries would worsen. Eventually, his internal organs would be crushed. By then, not even immortals could save him. Swish, before Yen Zhen could react, Lu Li had struck again. Lu Li swung his saber gently. The blood-red ray of sword light spread out from the blade of Ling. Before the ray of sword light reached Yen Zhen, a surge of evil spirit had enveloped him. Then, Yen Zhen entered that world of blood again, completely lost. Bang! The blade of light landed heavily on Yen Zhen, knocking him away. His purple armor shone with a resplendent light, illuminating the surroundings. Hu Lang and the others could not even open their eyes. All right. Hu Lang and the others cheered. Even though Lu Li's attack could not break the relic armor, it was still a powerful weapon. However, Yen Zhen was sent flying twice in a row, and she didn't even have the strength to fight back? This gave everyone hope. What was more important was the feeling Lu Li was giving off. Even Hu Lang, who had reached the Earth Immortal realm, felt Lu Li was no longer a mortal, but a killer, an immortal from the divinity. Xiao! Lu Li whooshed across the sky and caught up with Yen Zhen. By the time Yen Zhen came back to her senses, Lu Li had swung his saber again. Sizzle! A sharp whistling sound rang out, and the xian qi of heaven and earth from all directions whizzed along with the blood-colored blade radiance. Just as Yen Zhen was about to move, he was once again suppressed. He could only watch as the saber gleam flew over and watch as his world turned blood-red. Bang! Once again, Yen Zhen was smashed away. This time, Yen Zhen didn't even have the time to check on his wounds. He flew away at once. He had to run because Lu Li was coming. If Lu Li were to attack him, Yen Zhen would be suppressed again. At this rate, Yen Zhen would lose his life here. Lu Li had attacked from a distance. As soon as Yen Zhen made his move, heaven and earth would suppress Yen Zhen. Yen Zhen could not fight back. Also, after Lu Li's attack, Yen Zhen's soul would be affected by the evil spirit. Yen Zhen did not know how to defend himself. He could only let Lu Li attack him. It just so happened that there was a strand of cold and strange energy in Lu Li's attack that was corroding Yen Zhen's body. Yen Zhen felt everything was out of his control. Naturally, he was afraid. He had to run away and then figure out a way to break Lu Li's attack and kill him. He could not allow Lu Li to control the pace. Immortal's body! Lu Li shouted. In the distance, the immortal's body flew over, grabbed Lu Li with one hand and dashed away. In an instant, Lu Li had caught up with Yen Zhen, who was running away. He swung his saber gently. Swish! It was the same blood-red ray of sword light and the same world of blood. Yen Zhen was smashed away as well. This time, when Yen Zhen came back to his senses, he was terrified. He had forgotten about the immortal's body. The immortal's body was faster than him, which meant that Yen Zhen could not run away. Lu Li could keep on attacking and tire Yen Zhen out. Lu Li would not give Yen Zhen any time to rest until Yen Zhen was killed. I must figure something out. I must. Yen Zhen's mind was working frantically. Unfortunately, the next second Lu Li attacked again. Yen Zhen's world was occupied by blood. In the world of blood, Yen Zhen would be lost and could not think. Bang, 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 1 move, 2 moves, 10 moves. Hu Lang and the others watched as Yanzhen was smashed away by Lu Li again and again. Even though the relic armor did not show any signs of cracking, many people saw hope. That being said, many people had seen hope. They were watching nervously and excitedly. Hu Lang took some healing pellets and asked someone to carry him. He wanted to see Yanzhen die with his own eyes. Or, if Lu Li was defeated, he would die with Lu Li. I must fight back or I will die. Once again, Yanzhen came to his senses. He swung his saber and hacked forward. His mind was not clear, but this thought came from the depth of his soul. After all, he was at the peak of the semi-god realm. His reaction was fast. Whoosh! He generated a white line that was spreading toward Lu Li. Lu Li's expressions did not change. He just gave an order to the immortal's body in his mind. The immortal's body threw Lu Li away with one hand and dashed over to fend off all of Yanzhen's attacks. On the other side, Lu Li swung his saber gently. Wherever the blade pointed, heaven and earth trembled and the weather changed. Yanzhen was about to attack again when he was stopped. I am doomed. What to do? After Yanzhen came to his senses, he checked his body and realized that his internal organs were badly injured. That cold energy lingered around him. He could not suppress it any time soon. At this rate, he would be doomed. Yanzhen did not attack again because the immortal's body was in front of him. The immortal's body was fast. Yanzhen did not think he could kill Lu Li in one move. Let me try again. Yanzhen was unwilling to admit defeat. He did not believe that he could not kill a warrior at the initial stage of the semi-god realm. As long as he could kill Lu Li, everything would be solved. Boom! Yanzhen was smashed away again. This time, he smashed into a mountain. He did not run away. As soon as he came to his senses, his neck glowed in golden light. Following that, many golden pythons dashed out toward Lu Li. This was Yanzhen's bloodline skill, a 9th rank bloodline. Almost at the same time, the relic weapon in his hand glowed. He swung his saber. The saber glowed and the airflow was swirling. A strange beast shadow whooshed out from the relic weapon and charged toward Lu Li, roaring. Yanzhen had used the artifact spirit in the relic weapon and his bloodline skill. Chapter 11:21. Hiss, hiss, the huge golden serpents were hovering in the sky. There were 12 of them in total and each of them was over 100 feet long. They seemed to be real, not illusions. The 12 golden serpents were snarling and dashing toward Lu Li and the immortal's body from different directions. All of them were as intimidating as 12 mythical beasts. What was more terrifying than the 12 serpents was the soul of the relic weapon. The soul of the relic weapon whooshed over and enveloped Lu Li with its horrifying energy. Lu Li felt he was suffocated and could not move. Lu Li snorted. Between his eyebrows glowed as the dragon demon came out. The dragon demon dashed toward the 12 serpents, roaring. Lu Li ordered the immortal's body to stop the soul of the relic weapon. The dragon demon was strong. Even though it was not as strong as the immortal's body, it should not be difficult for the dragon demon to stop the 12 serpents. The immortal's body was smaller but he was still 10 feet tall. He dashed over and shielded Lu Li. Lu Li felt the pressure on him lessened. He dashed down, aimed at Yanzhen and swung his saber. Swish! Yanzhen was just about to come over and find a chance to attack Lu Li. However, Lu Li dodged it easily and attacked quickly. Yanzhen felt his vision turned red. Once again, he was lost in the world of blood. Once Yanzhen was lost, the 12 golden serpents were no longer under control. They stopped in the air. The dragon demon whooshed over and smashed the serpents with its huge claws and tail. Boom! The soul of the relic weapon landed on the immortal's body. The immortal's body was knocked back for hundreds of feet. The soul of the relic weapon flew back in a blur. The immortal's body came back quickly, unharmed. The immortal's body was so strong that the soul of the relic weapon could not inflict any harm on him. Boom! Yanzhen was smashed away. When Lu Li came back to his senses, his mind was weighed down. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. His injuries were serious. He could not even suppress the extravasated blood. He looked inside and found that there was a cold energy lurking in his internal organs and many other parts of his body. This energy was constantly cleansing his body and destroying his bodily functions. Unfortunately, he could not get rid of this energy in a short period of time. Lu Li's attacks would come in waves, and he would soon be lost in the world of blood. Is this a very powerful divine art? Supreme divine art? Did Emperor of Heaven Reverse teach Lu Li? A glint of doubt flashed across Yanzhen's mind. Lu Li's attack was domineering. Not only could he mobilize the force in heaven and earth, but he could also inflict powerful soul attacks and that chilling energy. If it were not for the relic armor, even a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm would be smashed into pieces by Lu Li no matter how strong his defense was. Clearly, Lu Li had just reached the semi-god realm not long ago. At this realm, he could not have such a powerful move. The only explanation was the skill from the divinity. Yen Tiangang was working for Emperor of Heaven Reverse. Then, the skill should be passed down by Emperor of Heaven Reverse. But Yen Tiangang never told him that Emperor of Heaven Reverse had such a powerful skill. At the very least, even if Emperor of Heaven Reverse taught Lu Li a powerful skill, could Lu Li learn it easily at his realm? Yanzhen learned 2 skills, but it took him 100 years. How old was Lu Li? Swish, Yanzhen did not have much time to think. Lu Li launched another attack, and Yanzhen was smashed away. When Yanzhen came back to his senses, he dared not to stay any longer. He flew into the distance in a frenzy. He wanted to run to the waters region and back to the divine, imperial universe. Yanzhen had a relic weapon that was powerful. However, Lu Li's attacks were so strange that Yanzhen lost his soul. Yanzhen could not organize a continuous counterattack. Lu Li was too fast with the immortal's body. It was difficult for Yanzhen to kill Lu Li in an instant. Lu Li could attack from a distance and suppress Yanzhen at once. If Yanzhen tried to fight back from a distance, Lu Li could have the immortal's body to stop him. Yanzhen had no chance to kill Lu Li. Yanzhen had to run away while his wounds were not serious. He had to go to the waters region. That spatial tunnel was not far away. Yanzhen should have a chance to go back. As for going to the waters region, would Lu Li go after him? Yanzhen did not dwell on this. He had to figure out a way while he ran. Boom, 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 Yanzhen was smashed away again and again. The chilly energy in his body was growing. He was no longer in the mood to kill Lu Li. Every time when he came back to his senses, he would take healing pellets and mobilize Xian energy to drive away the chilly energy. One thing was clear to him: if the chilly energy were allowed to go on and reach a certain level, it could explode and crush his body directly. He did not understand how the cold energy had entered his body through the god artifact. Moreover, he had not sensed it at all. Right. Yanzhen suddenly remembered the world of blood. He had an epiphany. When he was in the world of blood, the chilly energy had sneaked into his body. That must be the evil spirit, a special kind of energy that could penetrate the relic armor. Along the way, Yanzhen was being attacked. However, Yanzhen's heart was getting colder. He could not drive away the chilly energy in his body. The healing pellets he took were of no use. The chilly energy had enveloped his internal organs. The healing pellets could not go in and were repelled by the chilly energy. Poof! Yanzhen was smashed away again. Blood gushed out from his mouth. This time, he could not hold it back no matter how hard he tried. His face was pale. The injuries on his internal organs were getting worse. He was terrified. Ever since he took control of the relic armor, he never thought that he could die. He was filled with regret. If only he could have killed Lu Li in one move just now. Nobody expected that Lu Li's abilities could soar in such a short time, and he could overpower Yanjun. Yanjun ran and stopped. He was attacked constantly. The chilly energy in his body was increasing. The injuries on his internal organs were getting worse. He looked worse and slower. Even he was slowed down. When a warrior reached a certain level, the injuries on his body would not let him die easily. For example, even if he was stabbed more than a dozen times, even if his heart was pierced through, a powerful warrior could still suppress the injuries and continue to fight. If it was just an ordinary injury, with Yanjun's strength, he would be fine for a few months. The problem was that the cold energy was very strange. This energy was entrenched in his internal organs, and he couldn't expel it or dissolve it. It even enveloped his internal organs, preventing the healing medicine from entering. No matter how powerful a warrior was, if his internal organs were destroyed and he had no blood flow and breath, he would eventually die no matter how strong he was. Faster, faster, faster! Yanjun ran with all his might. He wanted to rush into the waters region and use some means to stall Lu Li. Then, he could destroy the spatial tunnel at once. In this way, he would be safe. Yanjun was not far away from the spatial tunnel, only 2 hours away. But he would be smashed away every now and then, so he could not go at full speed. By the time he arrived, it had been 4 hours. His eyes glowed when he saw the huge black hole in the distance. His mouth was filled with blood and his injuries were severe. But at least, he had a chance to escape. Boom! However, before he could even get close to the spatial passageway, he suddenly heard a loud explosion. Following that, he watched as the spatial passageway collapsed right before his eyes. You want to run? Lu Li's eyes were still red, but he was not delirious. He sneered. Yanjun, you have slaughtered so many people of the Heaven Reverse universe, and so many innocent people have died unjustly. I will sacrifice your head to their souls in heaven. Chapter 11:22. The moment Yanjun was about to run away, Lu Li had already made arrangements. He sent someone to destroy the passageway in secret. The person he sent was an alien race, the Supreme King of the Waters region. That Supreme King was a semi-god realm warrior. He was taken into the outer hall of the Wicked Bead by Lu Li. Just now, Lu Li secretly let that Supreme King out. The Supreme King had already arrived. By the time Yanjun arrived, the passageway had collapsed. If the passageway was not under attack, it would be stable and could last for several years. However, once a powerful warrior attacked, the passageway would become unstable. The space nearby would be compressed, and eventually, the entire passageway would collapse. Yanjun's face turned pale the moment he saw the tunnel collapse. He had never felt so powerless before. It was as if he was so close to death. He didn't continue to run, because he couldn't run too far. His internal organs were about to be pierced. He had tried many ways to deal with the chilling energy, but to no avail. He made a rough calculation. In an hour at most, his internal organs would be shattered. What was more, would Lu Li stop attacking during this time? Swish, while he was deep in thought, Lu Li launched another attack. He hacked from 2 miles away. A ray of blood-red sword light whooshed over. Yanjun saw a flash of red light in front of him. Once again, he had entered that world of blood. There is no other way. Yanjun decided to see if he could make peace with Lu Li. As soon as he came back to his senses, he shouted, Lu Li, stop. Let's talk. Lu Li did not stop. He did not want to waste any more time with Yanjun. He swung his saber and smashed Yanjun away. After sending Yanjun flying, he swallowed a healing pill. As a matter of fact, his injuries were serious. But due to the urgency of the situation, he had no time to tend to his wounds. He had to rely on his self-healing ability to heal himself. Now that the passageway was destroyed, Yen Zhen had nowhere to run. Lu Li was relieved. He now had time to take healing pellet. Send a message to the warriors nearby. Tell them to evacuate the civilians in the nearby cities and run away. Lu Li sent a message to Hiyu. He was afraid that Yen Zhen would take desperate measures and drag some civilians down with him before he died. It was too late for those civilians to run away now. But if they dispersed, they would not lose so many lives. Lu Li. Yen Zhen flew out from a small mountain and roared, "Stop attacking! If you force me into a corner, I'll slaughter all the cities along the way. I have a relic armor. You can kill me in a few months. How many people can I kill in a few months? You can do the math." Lu Li snorted. He, a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm, had spat out blood many times. It was not hard to imagine that he was bleeding. He was just suppressing the blood so that Lu Li wouldn't see how weak he was. Those at the peak of the soul formation stage were people who were close to the gods. How could ordinary injuries make them vomit blood so easily? Yen Zhen was to be Tu Zhen. To be Yen Zhen. Therefore, Lu Li kept on attacking without saying anything. He believed that it wouldn't be long before Yen Zhen was killed alive. Tu Zhen was to be. Lu had just learned the Lu. Tu Zhen was to be to the Lu Li. Was a supreme being the Zhen of the realm. Zhen had Lu. Li Yen realm was. Lu Li could tell from the terror in Yen Zhen's eyes that this move was powerful, much more powerful than the move he used when he consumed the Slayer's blood. "Lu Li, are you sure? Fine. Let's fight to the death. I will not stop until I make the Heaven Reverse universe bleed and pile up mountains of corpses. Lu Li, do you believe me when I say that I will die with you? Leave a way out. Neither of us will benefit if we keep fighting." "Lu Li, are you deaf? Can't you hear me? Why don't you stop? Are you mute? Or do you want to go on? Come on. Let's die together." Every time Yen Zhen was smashed away, he would yell and try to fight back. However, Lu Li was too far away. He told the immortal's body to block Yen Zhen's attack. Poof, once again, Yen Zhen was smashed away. This time, he spat out 4 or 5 mouthfuls of blood. He could not hold it in any longer. He felt his internal organs were shattered. There was no pain in his eyes, only fear. He knew that if he could not find a way, he would die here soon. He was not afraid of death. He had lived for many years and enjoyed all kinds of wealth and glory. He knew that he could not become an immortal in this lifetime. Yen Tiangang had made it clear that Yen Zhen was not talented enough to take the last step. He would die sooner or later. He had no regrets in this life. It made no difference whether he died earlier or later. The only thing he could not accept was the relics. If he died, the 2 relics would fall into Lu Li's hands. With his spiritual imprint gone, Lu Li could take control of the 2 relics easily. The relics were the family heirloom of the Yen family. Yen Tiangang paid a great price to send them down. For the sake of the relics, Yen Tiangang had been a slave for tens of thousands of years. Without the relic armor and weapon, the Yen family would lose a powerful weapon even if they still had the divine imperial city. The Yen family could not pose an absolute threat to the 9 universes. There is no other way. After thinking about it, Yen Zhen's face revealed a trace of helplessness. He realized that there was only one path he could take. That was to use a powerful skill to force Yen Tiangang's avatar to kill Lu Li. Without an altar and statue, there was no bridge or medium. Immortals could not come down and create avatars. However, Yen Tiangang once sent down a piece of artifact. With this artifact, one could create an avatar once. It was a life-saving artifact. Boom! Yen Zhen wasted no time after he was smashed away by Lu Li. He took out a piece of jade. It was a small white jade statue. He poured Xian energy into it and then threw it out. Buzzing. The white jade statue expanded in the wind. It was glaring. Soon, a surge of divine might spread out from it. Divine might? Lu Li glanced over with his blood-red eyes. Then, without any hesitation, he hacked at the statue with his saber. He did not know what the white jade statue could be used for. But since it was Yanzhen who threw it out and there was a surge of divine might, Lu Li wanted to break it first. Swish, a blood-red ray of sword light whooshed on. Xian Qi in heaven and earth was affected. The Xian Qi surged toward the statue and stopped the flying statue. What? A surge of psychic power spread out and scanned an area with a radius of 30 miles. Eventually, his psychic power noticed Lu Li's ray of sword light. Yan Tiangang shouted in rage, Lu Li, if you dare to kill Yanzhen when we come to the divinity, I will kill you at all costs. Boom! Yanzhen had just finished his words when the blood-red ray of sword light landed on the white jade statue. The next second, the white jade statue fell apart and turned into dust. Oh no, his last hope was gone. Lu Li had reacted too fast. Before Yan Tiangang could react, the white jade statue was destroyed. Yanzhen's last way out was cut off. P.S. Add a chapter. Another thing. He found some portraits and created a list of the top 10 beauties of the Heaven Reverse Universe. Tomorrow, he would post it on his WeChat public account. You could search for the account, Night of Enchantment, and follow it. It would be posted at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Many portraits were charming. Who were the top 10 beauties of the Heaven Reverse Universe? Chapter 11:23. As soon as the white jade statue was activated, Yan Tiangang must have sensed it. Therefore, he sent an avatar at once. If Lu Li had been 1 second slower, Yan Tiangang would have realized what was going on. By then, it would be difficult to destroy the white jade statue. That being said, Yan Tiangang was a mighty warrior in the divinity. He must have a way. At the very least, it would not be difficult for him to keep Yanzhen alive. However, Lu Li reacted fast. He was familiar with the might of divinity and hated it. Therefore, he made a move without hesitation. It just so happened that Lu Li's attack was ferocious. That white jade statue was solid, but it cracked at once. Yanzhen stared at the broken statue in a daze. His eyes gradually became gloomy, as if he had lost his soul. His last life-saving straw was gone. Swish, Lu Li did not care. He hacked at Yanzhen. Yan Tiangong's threat was nothing to him. Go after him at the divinity at all costs? Lu Li was not afraid, not to mention that Yan Tiangang did not have powerful forces in the divinity. He would deal with the divinity when he got there. Along the way, Lu Li was never afraid of threats. If he had to be overcautious and overcautious in everything, he would still be living his life in the northern desert. How could he become the leader of the Heaven Reverse Universe? On the path of cultivation, one had to change one's destiny. Without the courage to face difficulties, how could one survive the trials and rise to the top? Lu Li and the Yan family were mortal enemies. He would not miss the chance to kill Yanzhen. What was more, so many had died. If he did not avenge them, how could he comfort the souls in heaven? Boom, 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 boom. Yanzhen was smashed away again and again by the furious Lu Li. More and more blood gushed out from his mouth. His face was getting paler and paler. He was moving faster and faster. This is the last chance. A glint of determination rose in the depth of Yanzhen's eyes. He knew that he was at the end of his rope and could die at any moment. He had to make one last attempt. If he could kill Lu Li, then he might have a chance to survive. Otherwise, he would be doomed eternally. Yanzhen began to think. Years of experience taught him that once he made a move, he must kill. He only had one chance. He must be careful. Hiss! Lu Li's attack came. Yanzhen had an idea. He said with grief and indignation, Lu Li, my forefather will not let you go. When he reaches a certain realm, he will come to the Heaven Reverse Universe and destroy your world. Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Yanzhen was sent flying. This time, he spat out blood in midair. His eyes quickly dimmed, and his aura gradually weakened. It seemed like he was about to die. Boom! His body was sent flying for thousands of feet before crashing heavily into the wasteland below and rolling many times. Because blood kept spurting out of his mouth, his purple armor was stained with blood. Dead. Lu Li used psychic power to check. He noticed that Yan Zhen's energy was weakening and her vitality was fading away. Finally, Lu Li could breathe a sigh of relief. Of course, he did not stop immediately. He raised his saber and slashed at Yan Zhen again. A blood-red saber light whizzed out and landed heavily on Yan Zhen's body. The horrifying energy left a huge pit on the ground. Yan Zhen was smashed away and rolled into the distance. Yan Zhen had been rolling on the ground. He never opened his eyes again. All signs of life were gone. His face was as pale as a piece of paper. He looked like a dead body. Buzzing, all of a sudden, the relic armor on Yan Zhen glowed. It came off automatically and floated up to the sky. At the same time, his interspatial ring came off automatically and floated up as well. However, because the divine weapon was tightly held in Yan Zhen's hand, it did not break free. Phew, Lu Li took a deep breath. He was relieved. The red glow in his eyes was fading away. Theoretically speaking, when a person died, the quasi-relic and interspatial ring would come off automatically. Lu Li had seen this many times before, including quasi-relic and high-level interspatial rings. When a person died, the spiritual imprint would disappear. It was normal for the quasi-relic and interspatial ring to come off automatically. Yan Zhen was no different from a dead body. There was no sign of life in him. Lu Li used psychic power to check. Yan Zhen's internal organs were shattered. His internal organs were filled with extravasated blood. He could not be more dead. Relic. Lu Li's attention was attracted by the relic armor above Yan Zhen's body. It was a relic armor. The immortal's body's attack and Lu Li's slayer's move could not crack the armor. It was a testament to the strength of the relic armor. Everyone loved treasures, especially cultivators. They had an incomparable thirst for treasures, not to mention divine weapons, which were divine armors and divine weapons. Therefore, Lu Li did not hesitate. He dashed toward the relic armor. He had told the immortal's body to stop. Since he did not give the order, the immortal's body would not follow him. 10 miles, 2 miles, 2 miles. Right at that moment, he heard some noises coming from the distance, which caught Lu Li's attention. Out of instinct, Lu Li stopped. He used psychic power to check. It was Hu Lang and the others. Hu Lang was badly injured, but he wanted to see Yan Zhen die. Therefore, he asked his subordinates to take Hu Lang and follow from a distance. Now, it seemed to be settled. That was why Hu Lang had the courage to come and take a look. What Hu Lang did saved Lu Li's life. The dead Yan Zhen suddenly opened his eyes. He swung his relic weapon and struck at Lu Li. A shadow of a beast whooshed out from the relic weapon. Yan Zhen's plan was to fake his death, so that Lu Li would approach and take the relic armor. Then, he would take the chance to kill Lu Li. He had successfully fooled Lu Li. However, Lu Li had to pause for a moment because of Hu Lang and the others. Yan Zhen thought that Lu Li had noticed something, so he had to take the risk. What? Lu Li sensed fatal danger. He was too close to Yan Zhen. He could not hide or go back into the wicked bead. He swung his sword and released the Slayer's move. Swish! As soon as the sword moved, Xian Qi in heaven and earth was affected. The soul of the relic weapon was roaring at full strength, but it was suppressed by the might of heaven and earth. The blood-red ray of sword light shattered the shadow. The soul seemed to be badly injured. It vanished into the relic weapon in a blur. No, seeing that the blood-red ray of sword light had broken through the soul of the relic and was coming at him, Yan Zhen bellowed in anger. Just now, in order to trick Lu Li to come over, Yanjun had let the relic armor come off. How could it survive such a powerful strike? Boom! The blood-red ray of sword light smashed Yanjun into a mist of blood. A crack with a length of over 2 miles appeared on the ground where Yanjun was standing. Dust billowed up along with the mist of blood, blotting out the sky. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.